a good price there on Tesla, by the way. 387 right now on Tesla. That just broke higher. I just want to say, well, I'll leave you right now, but silver is at my price. 63.50 to 64 short. So that was a level that we had written down here on the sticky note today. So it's kind of right there. And I only brought this to your attention. There's 63.50. It's been the high right there. So we actually wicked it in that surprise move higher there, and then it went all the way back down into 63. So you gave you 50 cents right there. So something to take consideration on. There it is, 387. So there's the price. We already got that. We talked about that. So, all right, man, it's 11:01 right now. Thanks for staying with us right now. We got, yesterday was chicken parmesan, today chicken Biryani. Okay, good show.
And a fire alarm.
And a fire alarm. So good luck with that. We've got Sharif and Joe. Get ready for some fun on the midday show. We'll see you guys back at 2 p.m. and Neil see you at 12 with the lesson of the day. Ciao till now. Hi, Russell.
I like that music that we got coming in. Boom! Greetings, salutations. Beautiful people, welcome to the midday show. That is your boy, Joey Options. I'm Sharif. Joey.
What's up, buddy?
We got a new consolidated chat that includes all of the different social media platforms off which we stream. You know who we have to thank for that? Your long-haired friend over there named Fabian. Thank you very much, Fabian, for that. Let's say hello to everybody using the new consolidated chat. We got Johnny Fishbone, Wendy's Tendies. We got Chris with Mike PD right up. Shout out to Gavin Ross. We got Mr. Leahy, Lee, the freaking conductor, trading nurse. Get it, nurse. We got Pizza Gang. Who else, man? Weibo, not the Chinese platform Weibo, of course. Delmont Vantage, Angry Rob Entertainment. We got Evan 91 in Bristol, 69er. Mr. Janky Stock, and shout out to Roof Ninja. Sold at 844. Love the name. Arcane Away. We got Z Smoke, Hangry Wife. Hey, let's say hello to some people on. Hello from Twitch. We got Jetstad. We also have Austin the Meme. What is happening to the market right now? Insane volatility. He joins us via TikTok. So it's not just, we're not a one-trick pony anymore, Joey.
No, sir.
We got Byron Hart, Peter Beck. Peter Beck's in the chat. That's fantastic. Of course, you know. We got Dylan J. Dizzle. Shout out to Adrian Peterus. And Work, Play, Work. One more, Joey.
Yes, sir.
Bailey Buttons. Another day of bamboozlement, they say.
Oh,
yeah,
Bailey's in the chat,
Couldn't agree more, I mean, yeah.
All right, good stuff. All right, guys, I hope everyone's having a fantastic morning. A lot going in volatility, once again, kicking right into these markets. So let's take a look at what we had trading this morning. Give me one moment here. Yes, we had Bitcoin, but we made a little bit of a mistake. We're going to talk about that as soon as we get back from Madeira.
Two radically different headlines here. We'll start with GME, GameStop on watch as Domo Capital announced they have increased their position in GME by more than 30% ahead of the earnings report, saying, quote, we're ready. So GME, a little bit of bullishness here ahead of those earnings after the bell. Furthermore, I want to take a look here at USO. CNN report, citing a source from Iran, that there has been, quote, U.S. outreach and that Tehran is willing to listen. Now, we know yesterday we heard reports of U.S. outreach, but not that Tehran was actually willing to engage in these negotiations. We'll have to wait and see, but CNN saying that according to Iran, Iran is willing to listen as U.S. does try to approach them for a potential deal.
Dara Assassino, you ready?
I'm wondering why.
There goes feed into the high, general area high, 230, guys. Feed is reawakening from the dead. It was on this last lifeline. Joey was dancing below $2. It lost the volume weighted average price, 239 high. Be on the lookout here. Feed is hungry, okay? And it could see 250 sooner rather than later. So let's keep an eye out on this one. Let's send it to Joey Opp, see what he's looking at.
I was wondering why it was so bright in here. That's me going from Clark Kent.
There you go, there you go.
Superman. All right, guys, even though he does the opposite of that. No, all right, guys, let's take a look at what we had going on here today. And this is going to be a lesson of don't do what I did, because essentially what happens is that you turn a profitable trade into a losing one, especially when you put on a little bit of shares, right? So essentially what we have going on here, I have one more trade, and then we'll go over our charting for the day. We'll go over some open interest before we send it back to Sharif. So bear with me. Ooh, no, stop
happened,
it,
Joey?
Wendy's, never. I was being sarcastic. So, anyways, my first thesis here was I'm gonna go short, but what happened? Joe with the classic hotkey error. All right, boom, no problem. But I was patient. My initial thesis this morning was being a long here on IBIT. So let's be patient before we jump the gun. Patient, wait a couple more minutes, and then we enter long here. But what happened is the momentum, and I'm out half of my position at this point, okay? But the momentum really started to uptick to the downside. And me, typically, what I essentially do is get out break even on trades. And did I? No, and that is the result of me turning a profitable trade into a losing trade. And I was telling myself immediately, I wrote down, I said, Joe, do not get attached to positions. Why? Because the position doesn't care about you. It doesn't even know that you exist. So at the end of the day, with my systems, I get out break even after I have taken profit off of my trade, or essentially taken off more than 50%, which I had done in this case. So the IBIT trade going from a solid one to not so much. Moving forward, what else did we trade this morning? And that's going to be NVDA to the short side once again here in the pre-market. Now, we had a structure on a support level that was starting to be formed. And if you go through the 30-minute down to the 10-minute, down to the 5-minute, you can see over the past couple of sessions, starting from yesterday, that we had a clear flat bottom. And then sure enough, in the pre-market is when it started to break, and that's when I decided to engage into the short side here on NVDL. So we were fortunate enough to catch a move that we wanted to, and then I didn't want to be involved with this name out of the open or during the open, because you never know what can happen. And sure enough, look what happens when the imbalances come out. It decides to rip higher. So that was a nice little profitable trade there for us on NVDL. Moving forward, before we send back to Sharif, NASDAQ, always on my mind, always in the corner of my eye. We had NVDA. We went over that one this morning. We're now starting to see a curl over and a pop here. Tesla, one of the better performers this morning. And then we have IBIT also on my mind. And I have no issues with re-engaging, because this name typically takes a long time to really get rolling. And if you get that squeeze type price action, which it tends to happen when it's in a strong trending day, you can take some nice opportunities, especially if you're positioned well in Bitcoin.
Well said, Joey. All right, there's a lot going here. So let's get right down to work, because it's one of those days where we're going to have to choose, because there's a lot. I can't really overstate that. RBNE, dancing with $2. 10 EMA on the 5, 190. I see the topping tails into 193, 194 area. 10 EMA though, 191-ish, coming off that 220 high, losing to first lower low, since the breakout there, okay? Let's see what this one has to offer. 2 1/5 is the high. Feed, I was yelling about this one because it was breaking out, keeping an eye to make sure it is holding the volume weighted average price at around 208 or so. It's holding that 2 1/4, 2 1/5, prior bar high on the feeded one, 230, current bar high, 228, day high, 239. CRCD is not a small cap gapper, it's a Circle ETF. So it means Circle's running. We're just going to keep it on there just in case I don't find anything else or I want to execute on it because it's like an A+ setup. But there goes Swarmer into another high of the day. This one's back, okay? It had a couple of days that it was selling off. I want to say Friday was a bad day. Monday, not so good. You had a couple of consolidative days. I'm talking about the 18th and the 19th, and here we go again. This one could see the pre-market high yesterday around $39. I think if it gets into 39 during regular trading hours, at least glances at 40. So Swarmer, we can make jokes about that one, but this one is in focus. CVV also up nicely here to the tune of around 28%, holding structure. But you'll notice immediately when you look at the chart here on CVV, it is very wicky. Now the wicks don't discriminate; they are upper and lower wicks, but that should factor into how you trade this, okay? So if you're looking to take profits, you know it doesn't hang out near the candle high for all that long. So if that's part of your thinking, you need to be either using those hotkeys quick as you freaking like, or you need to be putting in resting orders. FOUR. This is a bit more expensive of a name, but you can see very directional, breaking above $50. Hasn't even glanced back at the 10 EMA for a while. Volume, though, is a bit of an issue. We're going to cover ANA and SATL when we get back from Madeira.
NVDA here. Senator Jim Banks reportedly urging U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to reconsider NVIDIA export licenses. Now, I did a quick look into Senator Banks. He is a first-term Republican senator. We know certain members of the Republican Party do have some concerns about China. Looks like Senator Banks here again, just to recap this for you guys, reportedly urging U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to reconsider allowing these NVIDIA export licenses to China. NVIDIA not moving too much on this. We've talked about this a lot, how NVIDIA seems to not really care about these China headlines as much anymore, but keep an eye on NVDA with this in mind.
Sick name, eh? Senator Banks?
I
wouldn't mind that, or Senator Bands, huh? No?
Oh, let's go MSFT.
Shadows a little bit what you're thinking, you know?
Yeah, can I tell you something? I don't know if you noticed this about me, and I'm just being honest, man. Like, if I'm focused, like, and it's really bad. Like, my grandma told me this, Selena tells me this all the time. I have, like, hardcore selective hearing. So, like, when I'm narrowed in, I have it's all noise. So I don't even, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what Adara just said right there.
She's talking about Senator Banks, bro. Put some respect on Senator Banks.
I am sorry. I'm just being I'm being honest and respectful. It's super, super ADHD, man. That's how it is. All right, guys.
I wasn't done, you know. Hold on.
Oh, you're not done?
A couple more, man.
Okay, I thought you were done. Okay, let me say something here. We have NVDA breaking through the resistance zone, and then IBIT also putting in some buying pressure. Let's see if we can break the volume weighted average price.
There goes feed. Joey, feed is getting fed. I mean, like, come on, you got to use that. 246 taking out prior area high. This is also a wick fest, so get ready for aggressive selling on feed when it does make a new area high. It's basically done it on every single area high. It pops in, it sells off aggressively. You could look at this a couple of ways. Those could be your buying opportunities after, makes a new high. You pick up the scraps, so to speak. I don't mean to poop on anybody there. But feed is going. So last two I want to cover is ANNA. This one is breaking down below VWAP, but it's still holding structure. The way that I see that, I see that resistance level there in the pre at around $7, give or take. There's another area, though, we're going to keep an eye out on that. But ANA also in focus. And then SATL. It's not the greatest look, but stair-stepping up at around 5 1/3, 550 high. Can have a look at that one. That's up 8.5. But RBNE is losing trend here, and it's losing it pretty quick. It's lost 2, it's lost the 10 EMA, and now it's looking like it's going to come down into this consolidative area. Now, I want to mention something. This looks like a breakout area to me. This 185, not an area that I would have earmarked, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's a buy zone. 185 to 175. Reason I say that is volume weighted average price hanging around the $0.75, but you do have this very long area of consolidation starting from around 10.05 to when you took it at around 10.45, took it on a breakout basis. So that is my look on those ones. I haven't executed on anything yet. I'm looking here. I'm considering feed, number 1. I'm considering RBNE, of course, and Swarmer, but it's going to have to be like an A+ setup on Swarmer because it's awfully volatile and it could end up being a halt fest. Now, I just want to mention one quick thing with respect to RBNE. I haven't executed on this one yet because this is the 5-second chart right here on RBNE. And as you can see, it's an unbroken downtrend of lower highs. So not for me quite yet, but very interested in it, knowing that it's quite strong on the day. And if warranted, Joey, I'm going to get in here, keeping an eye on RBNE and feed.
Sounds good, brother. Yeah, guys, let's pull up our charts and see what we got going on. Pull up. Nice consolidation, bull flag. You want to catch the lower end of the range, and I think at this point you might be fortunate enough to catch the top end of it, but we can also do some basic things here and just draw our trend lines. If that breaks, maybe you'll see some more downside. All right, so why was I thinking short on NVDA? Let's break this down a little bit more. All right, and we're gonna head over to a higher time frame, the 10-minute to be exact. So what I've seen here this morning in the pre-market leading into the open was just essentially this shelf being formed. Looks significantly better earlier. So yeah, this is it right here, right? So this shelf at 175, and then just before the open, I'm like, oh, okay, it's breaking now. We have this bull flag and it's failing. We have those consistent lower highs throughout this higher time frame, and sure enough, what happened in the pre-market as it broke through that 175 level? Boom, moves lower just leading into the open. And then, oh, what a coincidence, the intraday high here today too is at the top end of this trend line. Okay, it's just the most basic thing essentially. It's not rocket science, or as Ricky would say, rocket appliances. So, I mean, it's just, and Neil does this time and time again, and I think it's important for us to do our, and Sharif as well too, everybody here on the floor, it's important for us to do our due diligence and just see where there's potentially supply zones, and if we're either establishing higher lows or lower highs. That can tell you worlds about where the next potential direction of the stock is, and that's what Neil's essentially based the strategy off is, hey, we've broken that trend line, let's go shorter, let's go long, and it makes so much sense because, hey, what if all of that is absorbed and they're ready to make an additional move in either direction? That's the narrative here on NVDA. Maybe we can get going.
Just before we go to Dara, I want to thank the person on TikTok, cheer me up, TX. Thank you so much for the gift. We do appreciate you guys, all our TikTok viewers, as well as everybody else watching us on Twitch and Kick. We love y'all. We thank you. We're going to Adair.
Take a look here at UUUU, that's Energy Fuels, and CCJ, Cameco, seeing that these ones moving higher is being attributed to a post from Brad Smith, president of Microsoft, who did post a couple of minutes ago about Microsoft and NVIDIA's announcement of a new AI collaboration focused on nuclear energy that came out today. So again, CCJ and quadruple U seem to be moving higher after Brad Smith, president of Microsoft, talks about this Microsoft and NVIDIA nuclear energy partnership on social media. Back to you.
Right, so yeah, there it is, right? Like, and it's off to the races right now. I still have my eyes on IBIT. One thing that I'm going to be cautious about is this shelf. If we do another liquidity grab south of that and it forms an indecision print, that might be my green light to go. But there's also a couple other things that I need to take into consideration if I'm going to go long here on Bitcoin. IBIT, that is, right? Look at the strength within the selling pressure, and then look at the strength within the buying pressure. It's significantly weaker, but there is some volume prints that may display and suggest that we are ready, we have sold off enough, and we're looking to climb a little bit higher. Somewhat of a supply zone at 41, but nothing substantial. Let's head over to the options chain before we send it back to Sharif real quick and see what we have on NVDA and IBIT. Considering we're on IBIT, we'll take a look at this one first. 41, all right? 19,000, nothing substantial. 42 is where we had the most size. 45 over last week's expiration cycle had the largest amount of size. That's now cooled down. Great, fantastic. Moving forward, clear as mud, right? I'm sure your high school teachers used to say that to you all the time.
No,
clear
but
as mud?
I've heard it before,
Yeah,
but I don't remember any high school teachers.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh,
I don't.
That's all right, man. As for supply, we're starting to grow a little bit here in that 180 mark. Yesterday, we seen it in the 50s. Now we're seeing it in the 70s at 180 and 185. I'm not overly worried about what we're seeing at 182. It's just that supply zone at 180. We're currently trading at 175.66, and there's nothing at 177.5. So there is that room for us to climb a little bit higher. Where I'm going to be looking for the stock to react and potentially curl over is going to be at that $180 mark.
All right. What? Top VOIP? I can't unblock that comment, brother. I can't. It's funny, but I can't unblock it. Hey. I'm sorry, bro. It's funny. Anyway, all right, guys, we're in RBNE. Let's see here. So we have a double bottom, 184s. So yeah, I know, right? 11:10 candle, 184 low. 11:15 candle, 184 low. Let's see if this one's got the juice to at least move back into 2, give 2 an old test. 2, by the way, is prior bar high, just happens to be that way. So if it'll breach 2, it'll breach prior bar high, but it'll also take out that $2 psychological resistance level. So let's see what RBNE has to offer over here. Separately, keeping an eye on feed. It's still holding prior bar low, mind you. Prior bar low, the 11:10 candle on feed, 219. Current bar low, 222. So the double top, though, is kind of very, very obvious on feed. The 2 5-minute candles here, the 11:10, the 11:15 candle, both get into 245, 246, pardon me, which is the high of the day. So let's see what this one has to offer. CVV is going. This one is not a great volume leader. CVV, this is SATL. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to remove that. Let's leave that one on for a second. CVV, this one is making moves here. 2-penny spread, not bad. Let's watch a little bit as it tries to clear 5. It's a 515 high on CVV. Here comes 505. Let's see if this one can kind of take out some of the sellers and move both the ask and the bid above 5 right now. The ask is, and it's opening up in terms of spread too. 5 on the ask, 97 on the bid, 505 that is on the ask. So spread opening up a little bit here on CVV, but the volume is decent, 7 2/3 million. So we'll see if it tightens up at times or what the situation is. But what I'm keeping an eye on here is RBNE. I want to take out some size here. We've got good size on this one into whatchamacallit, $2. Let's go ahead and post. So I'm going to go ahead and post here right at 2s. And then we're going to see if we can run in, possibly take out that $2. That's what's making me worried here. So we've breached prior bar high, okay? We've double bottomed into 184 on RBNE. We've breached prior bar high, which was 194. We're showing 196er. But to me, it's still an unbroken downtrend until and if we can get above $2. So let's continue to watch here. Feed as well as holding current bar low as well as prior bar low. So this might be your opportunity here in the feed. Quite frankly, it looks a little bit better. It's wicky, but it does look a little bit better than RBNE, at least for me at the moment. Continuing to watch here. Buyer stepping in into 98 on the feeded one. Let's wet the beak. We're taking small share size. We're looking for 2. We're going to de-risk. There's 99. 2 just flashed, by the way. Let's see if we can take up a little bit more. Good trade right now on RBNE. We've got 93s, but it can get a lot better. Let's see. Is the selling here, Joey, going to step in and put a damper on everybody's party at 2? We're seeing 2 on the ask. We can't shake the sellers. So 2 is acting like an annoying area of resistance, as the French would say, or I probably wouldn't say that. There goes 2. We wet the beak. We're doing well on this one. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher. We've de-risked here. We've got a lot of, we've taken some profits now. I'm pleased. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher. Now, here's the deal. We're at that $2 area, and we can't print anything above 2. Okay, so we've just gotten into 2. Give you an idea, if you're looking for trend, current bar low is 190. So I personally would not allow this candle to come into 2, reject that 2 where we know it's going to be psychological resistance, and now we've seen the fact that sellers are stepping in at 2. I would not allow this candle to go red on me, right? So if you're in at 193, I'd get the hell out if 190 was lost. If we printed 189, I'd have my stop at 189. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Even though I've de-risked, we're going to go and do just that so we lock in most of the money here. Let's keep an eye out on feed because I'm still really interested in getting into that one. Let me flip to my 5-second chart up top. See what the chart looks like. I don't like it. I got to tell you, I don't like it. Okay. Look at this. So undecided is feed here. Yeah, I mean, you can see some level steps, like 220 support, then it looks like 225 support. Not bad. It's not bad, but it's not great. So if you were to get in at 232, I'd get out at 221. If probably even a little bit above that, 224, I'd want that shelf to hold. So on the I know you're not even listening. That's
listening.
the funny part. You've kind of outed yourself.
No, dude, but hold on, time. If I'm like this, typing in the chat, I'm locked in. Everything else is just, it's white noise, essentially. But I heard you, I'm listening. I'm locked in. You said you look for that shelf to hold. And I'm like, because essentially what I was doing here, I was doing the exact same thing. And then Jay Sione is like, hey, Joe with another hockey error. I'm like, bro, come on, chill out, man. I'm just essentially waiting. I didn't take the entry, but I took another one right here. It's just a beak wetter.
Yeah.
Or sorry, just a light. We'll dip the toes in, just a little bit of a feeler. And I'm going to get ready to rock and roll. So, yeah, someone says I'm your spirit animal.
Hold on.
I don't even know if that's a compliment or not.
Yeah, I like it. I used to be called animal.
But a spirit animal? That's like
clubbing days, Joey.
Yeah, oh yeah?
Yeah.
I would have loved to. Oh, we would have had a time, eh?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's crazy to think. That's like a lifetime ago,
It does feel like a lifetime ago. For me, anyway, right? Like, I don't act that way no more.
No.
I don't, like, go out in those circles anymore.
It's like different people.
It's different beast.
It's different people.
All right, hold on. Let me get to Tesco. CT09. Hi, Sharif. What's a good entry for RBNE? So I'm involved right now, brother, as you can see at 93, but I'm displeased with the current price action. So if this loses prior bar low and we opened up a new candle, now I'm out of the money, but full disclosure, I've de-risked, so we're profitable on it. Now, if it loses, I'm out. There it goes. It just lost prior bar low. That, to me, signals a couple of things. One, you got back into that $2 area, you couldn't shake the sellers. So two, now acting as a real level of resistance, not just psychological and possible. That's number one. Two, if that $2 level doesn't get breached, that is a lower high now. So you have area high, which is 220 on RBNE, and then you pop in, retrace off that 185 into 2, so you pop up 15 pennies, you reject 2, and if we lose 185, I think that this is probably a short at least into 175. We have to lose 185 though, because on every other 5-minute candle, we've defended that 185. So that's my look right now, but there goes feed. Feed is right back into that high day, and that's a triple top now, Joey, at 246. That's SATL. Where the hell is feed, bro? There it goes, Joey. Just took it out. It just took out 246, so it's no longer a triple top. 249 area high. Feed is running here, guys, and it probably, you know, behooves me to get in some way, somehow. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to get into feed, but I'm going to continue to watch here, try to spot opportunities, Joey.
Sounds good. Yeah, guys, so essentially what I was mentioning not too long ago is just the fact that it's a little bit of a feeler here. It's really small, and it's kind of the example that I went through yesterday on AMDL, when I'm like, all right, I want to see what the stock's going to essentially do, or the ETF, and then if it really works in my favor, we can add, but then if it doesn't, then I can reposition myself in a better place. If it comes south of that 39.60 level, no issues of getting out whatsoever. We will take the 20-cent hit, but just due to the size that I have on, it's like 20% of what this initial position was. So it's not very much, but if it continues to go and we get that curl over, then sure enough, I'll have the ability. I'm already involved with it with the starter, and then I can add substantially more shares as we move forward, and not go full size all in one attempt. I'm going to show you an example yesterday. So what I did this morning, it's like, why? It's like we know what we have to do, obviously. It's just I wasn't following the book, and you have those odd times where you're just like doing something that maybe you shouldn't necessarily be doing, and that's this. Otherwise, we would be nicely green on the day, right? But that's not necessarily the case just because I decided to hold on to a position. Neil had a better entry than me. I seen him get out, and I'm like, what am I doing still holding on to this thing? All right, moving forward. Let's take a look. I told you this month, horrid, but we're gonna take a look. Oh, hold on, let me pull it up over here. Just like a little bit of an example of why I do this, right? So I'm looking for the break of the support level. I enter the short on AMDL. This is yesterday's trade. Comes back in, stop out, because I'm waiting for the momentum to come into play. Just a little bit of a feeler. Try it again. Stopped out, no problem. We're just starting with starter position, but then we see a pattern, and we're at a point where our risk to reward ratio is at its greatest. Where am I proven wrong, essentially? At the top here on these entries, but I was giving myself less room because it should break through that support level, and the momentum should drastically pick up. And then that's when we absolutely hammer the top end of this trade right here. Boom. clean flush to the downside, and that's essentially what we're looking for, whether it be long or short. So start a position, we get out at the lower end of the range, and then reassess the situation to see, hey, is it worth engaging on multiple occasions? And maybe we'll find that out momentarily, Adara.
Yeah, and sure, if this was mentioned, I was away from my desk for a second, so apologies there. But keep an eye on the trade desk. TTD moving lower. Ad Age reporting that Omnicom has just begun an audit of the company's fees. Now, we know the trade desk last week featured a negative catalyst, again reported by the Ad Age, with Publicis, which I guess audited the trade desk, didn't like what they saw, and ceased recommending it for some of its ads. So again, TTD pushing lower here. This time, what's happening is a reported audit into its fees from Omnicom. Back to you.
That's ugly. Yeah, that's a big red candle there, Joe.
How's Circle doing right now? I mean, we were talking about this.
Well, I don't know. Well, CRCD, I'm watching that.
Okay.
I'm watching the inverse ETF.
You're watching you're on the inverse?
Yeah, CRCD right there, Joey. I don't know if it's, you have to check to see if it's blocked or not, but because I don't know if it does enough daily volume, but.
Nah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good look there, Sharif. And what is it, $4?
$6.
$6?
Six,
okay,
yeah,
we
inverse.
like that.
I think it's leveraged. Double check, Joey.
Yeah, it typically would be at that price. So here it is, heading towards the low of the day. You're going to probably see an uptick there in CRCE there, Sharif.
607.
103. I mean, this thing is down substantially. A high of 126 and an open of $126 and a low of 103. That's insane. That's absolutely detrimental to shareholders.
Oh my days. All right, we're throwing in a stop here on feed. A bit of a riskier trade here for me. I'm getting in at the $0.50. I don't really like doing that, and I got stopped out immediately right there. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way it is. I took a risk for the continuation of the break, but let's see if we can kind of weasel a little bit back in. So 225. So let's see what we're gonna put 225 here as our stop. And yeah, I want to change the risk a little bit here, Joey. Good. All right. So now we're good to go on this one. Let's see what we can get. Do we hold up at these levels? Keeping an eye on the 5. Feed is coming down pretty aggressively here off that 250 bump, but this has a tendency to do that. So let's keep an eye on this one. So I'm out. I put 225 as my out. Yeah, so 225, let's go ahead, throw that there. See if we can kind of catch a little bit of a bid on this monster. Already got stopped out of it quick as you freaking like. But feed seems to be stair-stepping up. Let's see if it holds 10 EMA. If it holds a 10 EMA, I won't get stopped out. That's currently showing 26, 27. Separately, I'm keeping an eye on RBNE because it is defending that 185 level. If it continues to do that, I'm game. So, well, it'll have to take 2 for me to get involved. Otherwise, we're gonna not get involved with RBNE because it'll be a little bit consolidative. But keeping a close eye on this one, but starting a position here in feed, we're going back up to Adara at the big desk.
Just to mention TTD again, for those who missed it, brought this up a couple of minutes ago, but the Ad Age reporting that Omnicom is auditing the trade desk's fees. That's why TTD is dropping quite sharply today. Also dropping sharply to start the crypto segment is Circle, CRCL. It's at intraday lows. I think it would be remiss of me to not mention this story here that actually concerns a woman by the name of Eleanor Tarrant. She is pictured right here. She is a crypto journalist. She also has a crypto-themed podcast. She posted about 12 hours ago now, so it was, I think, like around 11 p.m. yesterday. She posted a whole story on, I guess, how industry stakeholders in the crypto space are reacting to the latest drafts of this legislation on stablecoins. She said that industry stakeholders are actually divided here on these proposals. Some of them really like them, some of them really don't. But the gist of this proposal here is that it would actually bar platforms from offering yields on stablecoins if they deem the stablecoins to be held in a manner similar to bank deposits. So basically, if you hold your stablecoin in a way that's kind of bank deposit related, no yields are allowed to be offered. Furthermore, activity-based rewards are brought up in this draft proposal. They would be allowed, but only if they aren't considered similar to interest. So a lot of, I guess, takes on are stablecoins similar to banking or not? That really seems to be what's happening here with this proposal. Again, this is coming from Eleanor Tarrant. Let's take a look here at BTC. Sharif mentioned this morning on the morning desk here that 68,000, 72,000 range on BTC. We're trading within it today. We did not break above yesterday's high. Yesterday's high coming in here around 70. just shy of 72,000. Today's high, 71.3. So not really coming into that high. We're also well below the low. So it looks like today, yet another day of chop here for BTC. On the weekly, really interesting look on the weekly. We actually broke our 2-week winning streak last week with a sort of topping tail candle on Bitcoin. Be interesting to see if we break below last week's low, because as of so far, we've held it basically to the penny. Back to you.
Our good friend Luis Barbados is in the chat. Hey, day trading, make sure you guys listen to what he has to say. Him and I were taking each other. He's like, hey, man, if you guys aren't following the rules, the market will punish you immediately and right away. And I'm like, exactly, my friend. Good stuff. And you couldn't have said it better. And as I typically say, don't break the rules or the rules will break you eventually. And that's what happens. If you make a slight mistake, they're quick to pounce. It's like a counterpuncher, Sharif.
Absolutely.
Boom, you miss on that 1-2. You're gonna get clipped, and
you're gonna get clipped.
You're gonna get clipped, and it could be a KO. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Remember that vote, that voting that we did yesterday? Super easy to vote. We want to know what you guys are trading. Are you trading these small caps like myself, the DGen? If you are, type in 1. If you like the large caps like the Katina Man, you like your Microsofts, your Teslas, type in 2. How about the commodity lovers? We're silver, gold, oil. All up today. They're all up. If you're a commodities trader, type in 3. And Dara just finished giving us a crypto segment. If you're about that crypto life, IBIT, everything else, coin, MSTR, type in 4. We want to see where the traders are at. Vote now, guys. Let's see exactly where we end up. There we go. Now everybody's voting. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, Charlie, my boy Charlie, he is smart. I was going to say that.
What happened?
I was going to suggest something, Sharif.
What were you going to suggest?
We threw a 5 in there.
You want to throw in a 5?
Why?
We're going to do it tomorrow, though.
Why are we throwing in a 5?
What do you need?
You may ask?
Yes.
All of the above.
Futures.
All of the above.
All of
1,
the
2, 3,
above.
4, and then usually the 5th option is all of
Tricks are for
the
kids.
above. Tricks are for kids. Yeah, buddy, my boy Charlie Tough. All right, guys. Yeah, Luis, we got out of that IBIT trade and we just came back in. Now, is this going to be the opportunity for us to re-engage in this trade? Potentially. It hasn't been the cleanest price action here today. But if I get in now, I can add a little bit more size and have a better off stop loss than what I had before. And I think that's going to be the nature of this beast. Sideways consolidation. Let's see if we can get something rolling. It ain't a thing but a chicken wing for us to get one trade here right now and put us back nicely green. So that's essentially my narrative. We had that NVDA. I can feel it in my bones right now that it's just, hey, be patient, sit on the hands. And it's only a matter of time until we get rocking and rolling on something prime time.
There you go, bro. There you go. That's what I want to hear, man. All right, continuing to watch here, guys. Fluffy Hippo bringing CV to my attention. CVV, I had this one up, but this is really good, Fluffsters, because it's unbroken greenery here on the price action. Look at that candle at 11:15, followed by a plethora of higher lows and higher highs. Alas, this current candle still doesn't have a higher high into 529. That's prior bar high, also the high of the day. I see a lot of support, initially resistance at 5. You got the breakout level at 5. You got psychological support and or resistance at 5. And you also have the 10 EMA now, which is hanging around that $5 area. So this could be a really interesting one. Keep your eye out on CVV. But Anna, ANNA is making a move here and it's retracing above VWAP. I want to bring to your attention though that 780 for whatever reason seemed to be an area of support initially. It could act as resistance now. See how it's kind of flipping back into this area? So be on the lookout. Possible resistance into 780. That could put a damper on the long party. But Swimmer as well, SWMR holding the 10 EMA. If SWMR breaks out from this, I think this is a good quality setup. Probably behooves you to be keeping an eye on that. A clean break above this lower trend line could be a good entry. And then RBNE as well. Continuing to watch this, but it's continuing to put in lower highs, so a bit of an annoying pattern there. It needs to take out 2, but as you can see, it's holding that mid 180s area. I don't want to say 185 because this candle got to 184, but I think that the point remains the same. That mid 180s area is a prior area of resistance now acting as support. What we need to see is if the buyers are going to step in, take out that level. To me, it gets taken out at $2. I know that the trend line break could happen below $2, but for me, it's not. I'm looking for that $2 break. I saw the seller there step in, and I don't want anything to do with them. I got stopped out for the third time on FEED. So this one is really not cooperating with me. I'm 0 for 3 on FEED, so I'm probably not going to trade this again until it sets up a lot better, because clearly I don't have a read on this one. It keep trying to pick it up off key levels. It just doesn't let me do it. So let's keep an eye here on RBNE, as this one's working right back into 2. This could definitely get my attention if we get a $2 break, but I always concern myself with the bull trap, right? If I'm seeing the $2 resistance, you're seeing it, he's seeing it, everybody else is seeing it. The bears love to trap you in those instances, but we're gonna try to do our best here. We'll keep an eye out on that. Nothing else really for me to comment on. Looking for the 780, 785 clearance on Anna. That could get me back in or get me into that trade. Also RBNE and Swarmer. Looking for a trend break here on Swarmer, Joey.
All right, guys. Yeah, let's get right into things. So essentially came right into that level. So we're going to go and test the volume weighted average price one more time. Let's see how we react. If we're breaking through this pivot, it's a pullback, and then we're going to engage on this one. So the green light is a go on IBIT for a potential long. I'm getting the hunch that this is somewhat of a bottom. You can see we have that consolidated base around 39.56, and we're just slowly grinding higher. We do have the market and some of the larger participants above VWAP, and with that being said, maybe we can get this name to start participating to the top side, considering it is lagging a little bit. Moving forward, let's take a look at some of the other large names. I'm going to do it again. A slight better price, but I didn't execute this one the best of my ability. We could have been back in at 39.60s, right? And then you think about it, you're already 13 cents ITM. Full disclosure is just starter position. We're going to do the exact same thing again. Slight better price, and that's exactly what we want, okay? As long as we're getting in at a better price, boom, we're engaged now, but we're not full boosters ahead. So now moving forward, let's take a look over at some of the larger names, all right? We're going to head over to our watch list, which we're currently sitting on. We've been over NVDA. It looks like it wants to continue to climb a little bit higher here. We talked about the supply zones at 180 and 185. Apple, how has it been performing here today? At the high of the day, wow, this thing is going absolutely oppo. Thank you. Wow, he's on point. Yeah, that was on point. 249.57 up to 254. That's a 6-point move almost here in AAPL, and the Nasdaq is nowhere even close to putting in this type of session. So maybe you'll get a little bit of a move and an uptick. But what's really dragging us down, and this is what I'm talking about, and we go over this essentially on a daily basis, is look at the push and pull. You have Apple that's at the high of the day and just steady up and to the right in a nice, strong, steady uptrend. And then you have the opposite here in Microsoft as it's heading towards the low of the day. And look what's happening to the Nasdaq. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know if it's coming or going. All right. Amazon, how does it look? It's still not doing too much here on one of those ones. Google is really important considering, and it's at the low of the day. So if we kind of combine what we have going on in Microsoft, NVDA is not horrible, but it's not nearly as strong as Apple. But you have Google and you have Microsoft, and where the Nasdaq is currently sitting at, that's not so bad, because if these names start to get more of a sustained pop, you can see a strong uptick in the overall market, okay? Moving forward, we were looking at Tesla as well, hovering around the volume-weighted average price. That's really important. And then Meta, Zuck's still spending money, and it is still to the downside. So a really tough look in in 3 out of the 7 mag names. Not the best here. Palantir, how's it been performing to the downside? I mean, it's not heavily weighted, nor is it going to have a dramatic effect on the overall market. But at Coinbase, I heard a lot of people talking about that, and it was getting smoked here today. Some nice indecision prints at the low, but just be cautious of this waterfall type price action. Okay, that's really dangerous to go counter against. Adara.
Interesting headline here on USO. I'm just seeing reports that apparently Iran is concerned that any talks to the U.S. could be a trap. Basically, their worry is that President Trump's announcement that he's going to be postponing the energy infrastructure strikes could be more of an attempt to lower oil prices than an attempt to actually end the conflict outright in Iran. So take that how you will. But again, Iran reportedly worrying that these talks to end the conflict are actually just a trap. Back to you.
All right. What's that?
You never seen that? It's a trap.
Oh yeah. Of course, it's a trap. Hood, Robin Hood, how have you been doing here, guys? Once again, we're in Bitcoin. It's starting to pull back. We're going to hold off. We'll get out at 39.60s once again if it heads back into that area. And then maybe at that point, it's going to have a little bit of a breakdown. So it's just small paper cuts until we find something where we can really get rocking and rolling. And maybe we just have to be patient and wait for the momentum, if there is going to be any, to step into this market and find a quality opportunity.
All right, man. We're in Anna here. We're dancing with 8. There's resistance clearly at 8. We current bar high did breach prior bar high, but there's a lot of selling coming into that $8 level. You can kind of see the tape pick up speed every time we get into 8 as orders are triggering both ways. That's the feeling I get here. So 796, we're showing 8 again here on Anna, looking for a bigger move and a clearing of $8. I had perceived about 780 resistance. We're above that, but obviously the whole dollar level, probably a more important area of resistance. Keeping an eye as well on Swarmer. I'm looking for a general move above 37. I think that probably would get me into the trade. That would be a clear break of the downtrend that's happening on SWMR. So not much for me to report on there. And then RBNE, continuing to watch this, very much sideways consolidation at the low. It's a very clear 185, 184 hold. And then at the high, we haven't quite made it up to 2 since that 5-minute candle at around 1120, but we are working our way up. So whether or not this clears 2, your guess is as good as mine. I'm going to keep an eye out on this one. I'm looking for a move above 2, and then I think RBNE could be back in business here in terms of a long, but it's going to have to clear the sellers at 2. And not just, I'm not talking about a wick or 2. I'm talking about a good closing print above that $2 level. So that's what I'm kind of looking at there. Not much to report on. I see Anna finding a lot of resistance at 8. My stop is at 779 because there was a shelf there of resistance at 780, as I spoke about earlier. But there's also that prior area low, which takes us to about 784. I don't want to move up my stop, but we just did print a doji candle into that $8 level. That's not really a good sign because the doji candle is a reversal candle, obviously, and here it comes into the 80s. Probably going to get stopped out of this one as well. So we're going to go 1 for 2 today, guys. A negative on the day. They're not really running at the moment. They're rejecting at these levels, so we'll have to be a bit more picky for my trade. So maybe I'm going to focus on RBNE a little bit more. This one's setting up a little bit better than the other ones, less bamboozlement. But Anna taking us through VWAP into 8, rejecting 8, coming back down, stopping me out. What else is there? There's CVV, which is hanging out near the highs, but I don't think that this is a good opportunity to get into CVV at the moment. SATL as well. Also at the highs, a little bit lower on volume on SATL, a little bit wider of a spread, but you can see this one is setting up for an ascending wedge pattern, the way that I see that. A lot of rejections at 550, however, you have higher lows off the 10 EMA, so this could be a good one to build a position into. Yeah, kind of hard to know there. So yeah, focusing on these ones and definitely keeping an eye on RBNE. No way, Anna, you little punk. It's heading right back up into 8. Well, I had my stop where it was. I mean, did it even breach 79? I don't even feel like it did. Did it? Oh, it did. Yeah, it did. By like 1 penny. Okay, so that's fine. You have to take the L there. So that's it, Joey. Continuing to watch that. I might set up on SATL over here because this one, as I mentioned, an ascending wedge pattern, which could be money. I'd like to pick up something at around 540, 541. I think that gives me a good opportunity for a 550 break should one happen. But yeah, we've been unable to print anything above 550 on the day on SATL. That is actually the high of the day. So that I'll be focusing on that as well. And then, as I mentioned, SWMR, but I want something above 37 on that one. Thoughts on PAVS? Let's have a look at PAVS. Let's have a look there. What do we got? Yeah, a bit of a uptrend when you look over the multi-day trend. Not bad, but definitely off the highs of 77.5. You're breaking trend though, so that lower low, lower high trend is coming to an end. So this could be an interesting area here. These are always hard because they could end up making a lower high, right? Like you come into 70 pennies, you don't quite make it back up to 77, and then you reject 70 pennies, and then you break the low at around 55. So that's always my concern with these ones that are breaking trend. But you know, sometimes they are A plus setups. Hard to know when they're going to make a lower high. So I'd say look for the 5-minute candle that breaches prior bar low. If it does that, then I'd be getting out. I wouldn't give this one way too much room, but PAVS, not a bad one at all. I'm gonna take off. Who are we gonna take off? Because there's so many good ones today. CRCD, I'm probably not gonna execute on that, so we're gonna put on PAVS. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it, especially if this one sets up through the break of 70. I think this one could be good, Joey, so we're gonna keep an eye on PAVS.
All right, someone was asking you if you trade the Russell IWM. No, he does. I don't want to, even though I just kind of did. But no, he doesn't typically trade that. I mean, we don't really trade the IWM or anything along those lines. I don't know if there's a leverage product for it. I'm sure there is somewhere, but I'm just not aware of it. So, all right, what's that circle leveraged again?
CD.
Yeah. CRCD looking pretty good as it's heading towards the high of the day circle. With that inverse correlation, obviously you're going to see circle head towards the LOD. Now I'm thinking, hey man, is Tesla a potential short here? Okay, so this is a key trendline break. We had those consistent higher lows on multiple touches, and now we're on the backside of this trend here. Okay, so what happens when we crack this support level and hold? So essentially what we can do is we can build a basic trade thesis right now and say, all right, if we really like to short and we're starting to get that slight curl over here on the lower time frame, is that we can just put our stop loss a little bit above this level, and if we're wrong, then that's fine, okay? There's no issue. If we just stick to the stop and we start relatively light, then it's like, or we're fortunate enough to get that breakdown, which it looks like it's kind of like it wants to do right now with the consistent lower highs, then by all means, I think there could be a good opportunity, but it could squeeze considering there's a couple ways that we can look at it, and I'm curious to how you guys are looking at it as well too, is that do you think that this is more or less a bull flag, or do you think that this trend has been broken and that you might see some of this engulfing print from the pre-market or right out of the gate start to be closed, okay? So that's a pretty strong candle right there. And are we going to start to fill some of it and head right back into opening price, which would put us around 376? I'm not saying we're gonna fall $10 or roughly $8 from this point, but what if we start to head a little bit lower? Now, as for our IBIT, we have a couple good things going for us. All right, let's break it down. We have essentially those higher lows, okay? And we keep bouncing off of the trend line. This is what we wanna see, okay? So we're holding up. Can we find the momentum to break through the volume-weighted average price and disengage the VWAP sellers? At this point, I do believe that we can find somewhat of a recovery and maybe head back towards opening price here in IBIT, which would put us around $40 flat, okay? So a nice strong uptick there. But one thing that we also have to take into consideration is the lack of volume. There's not very much volume, and to be honest with you, it's a little bit of a quiet day. Aside from the news what Adair is bringing for us, Sharif agrees to the same thing. You're not getting those big momentum plays. And look what the NASDAQ has done essentially throughout the day. It's just been a slow, steady grind higher. And with that being said, if you can find any form of dip to buy, I think that might be the way to go. There goes Tesla C. So you would be in and out. That would be a relatively quick trade as you head right back into the high of that of this resistance zone. Okay, and now we're starting to knock on this door. Let's break through. We got a little bit better of a price from before, and we're relatively flat and break even on this entry. Okay, so not too bad. And that's why I always talk about our risk to reward. If you can catch the lower end of the range, don't be scared to pull that trigger. Why? Because you're proven, when you're proven wrong, can happen relatively quick, but if you're right, that's when you get that drastic increase to risk to reward ratio, and you can hit those 4-to-1s and those 5-to-1s, kind of like what happened for us on AMDL yesterday. But it doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It matters what you do today, and that's what we're trying to put on some half-decent trades here.
Nice, Joey, nice. I appreciate that. Continuing to watch Anna. So I did get stopped out of this one, but it's still kind of hanging around 8, man. It feels like it's putting in a bit of a bull flag in and around 8. You just don't want to take the breakout trade because, well, it hasn't given you the breakout trade. It's, gets into that $8 area and then it's met with aggressive selling. So continuing to watch that, but RBNE is making higher lows for the break of 2 here. This feels like it's ready to go. It may not go on this occasion, but RBNE is is pretty aggressive. So let's see exactly how we'd set up. I'd have to give it to about 183 or so. Yeah, so give me a sec here. Oh boy. 183, okay. So we're gonna have to risk this much on it. Let's see if RBNE wants to take out some area highs. So watching here as this one comes into 2, can it clear 2? There was definitely a lot of selling at 2 earlier, so nope, can't clear 2 here. But look, you've got higher lows, so even if you don't clear it, I think we might have another attempt here on RBNE through the area high. There's 2. Are we going to continue through 2, or is this just a kind of trapping us in? Let's watch. Let's see, I've got my hotkey ready to go. I know exactly where I'm going to stop out at, but you can see the selling is quite aggressive into this $2 level. Into 202 we go. This doesn't feel like it's going to have those pop-off moments, but let's give this one the old college try. We're going to give this right into our level, and if it stops out, it stops out. Let's see what this one has to offer. Perhaps we can get back into 210, maybe 220. That is the area high, but you see the thickness of the selling into 203 on RBNE. So very little in the way of continuation today, you feel, on these small cap gappers, at least not right now. As I just got stopped out of PAVS, as well as that one lost trend. Anna's not taking out 8. Feed is not continuing. So yeah, looks like one of those days where we may have to size down because the continuation is just not there. I'm going to continue to watch RBNE as it rejects $2, coming back in again. The selling is controlling right now on these small cap gappers. You can just see it. Right? No continuation, no follow through. You get into technical levels and you're not clearing. So we're going to have to size down a little bit here so we don't take too much of a hit. We're going back up to Adara.
Keep an eye here on YOU. This company is called Clear Secure. I looked into them. They do biometric verification at airports. Looks like they're dropping lower after Semaphore reports that Chuck Schumer, who is, of course, the Senate minority leader, indicates Democratic openness to Republicans' DHS deal. Now, the reason I would assume this is dropping on this is because, as I mentioned, YOU, they work in that biometric airport security space. We know there's been a TSA issue where they haven't been getting paid in relation to the DHS lack of funding. So, again, long story short, if DHS gets refunded, I guess maybe a bad look for YOU. That would be my guess of the market thinking here behind this one going lower, but either way here, Clear Secure, YOU trading lower here right now. Back to you.
Good call out there, Gaurav. Yeah, that was a really nice one. I see a curl over potentially happening here in Tesla. We're going to take an attempt. If it breaks through that previous pivot high, then we're going to get out of dodge on that one. And then I think at this point, considering, I might even just, even though I haven't really been proven wrong, just yet on IBIT, I'm thinking about just cutting it and waiting for a quality opportunity. Maybe even adding, because the short looks like they're going to be in play. We're not grinding higher. It's a little bit more tricky of a session. And considering, yeah, let's get out of Bitcoin here. I think that's enough for the long attempts, even though there could be a support level. I just don't think this vehicle and my thesis are in correlation right now. But there goes TSLL. All right, so we do take a couple losses there on IBIT. Not too good. Not positioning ourselves the best. That's totally fine. No worries about that. Moving forward, let's head over to TSLL. Now you can see that we're short this one. Why? I was mentioning a slight curl over, and we had that retest. We had the liquidity grab north of that, and then we headed right back low to the lower end of the range. Now I'm selling the support, and I often say don't talk about that, but maybe we've absorbed enough liquidity at this breach. You failed to construct it, and that downtrend is still fully intact, as TSLL is really starting to pick up momentum, and that's exactly what we want to see right now. So whatever we just lost on that previous trade on IBIT, we fortunately, even though we haven't locked anything yet, locked in anything yet. We just locked in a little bit of gains there, or we haven't. We just had met up to what we had from before. So let's be patient. Let's wait for this breakdown to continue, and maybe we can start to fill in some of that engulfing print from right out of the open. I think that's going to be the objective here, considering we have key support levels that are being broken now. That trend line is being broken, and then sure enough, if we can breach through this previous pivot, there might be some more downside here in Tesla.
Sorry, Jerry, just give me some time, brother, because I'm just in a position.
Absolutely. So we're going to add here, if we can come back, we have this position, we get the retest, and then boom, that's going to be the game plan there, all right? So nice, clean move. We'll take it on TSLL. Full disclosure, just a starter position right here. Still slightly positive on the day, but anything can happen at any given moment. Bitcoin just kept projecting VWAP and couldn't break through. And now we're starting to head towards the backside of this trend. So with that being said, probably not a long here today. What I was looking at on the daily is this. So we have this open up here, right? I'm like, oh, okay, couple sessions, we start to climb. When is that we're gonna have that move? That's gonna give us that strong uptick past this previous pivot if we are that strong. Or worst case scenario, right? We have this downtrend. This could just be somewhat of a pullback like we experienced right here. You see the similarities within the patterns is that you have this little bit of strength, and then sure enough, the sellers flush it. So is that what we're going to experience here in Bitcoin once again? Maybe. I would really want this to hold. If not, it could get extremely disastrous in Bitcoin, considering we're already down almost 40% and 45% from that previous high in IBIT. Now, favorite time of the day. It's happening now in Neil's lesson of the day.
Market pulling back from highs right now. Here's the S&P 500, and we'll take a look at the NASDAQ. Just be aware here as well. I'm just seeing this headline, so I'll pull this up. Shopify on watch, SHOP, with some ChatGPT updates. Not really moving on this, but OpenAI releasing a shopping updates in their chat. GPT. Let's talk here about USO. By far, I think the belle of the ball when it comes to catalysts. Last week, this week, it's continuing today. Fox News reporting that the 82nd Airborne Division commander has been ordered to deploy to the Mideast, so it does look like we're going to be getting some extent of boots on the ground over here in the Middle East. This is also being reported by Jennifer Griffin, who I've spoken about before, very much on the ball when it comes to this news correspondence and reporting for Fox. So just be aware of that. I'm also seeing comments coming from Araghchi, who is Iran's foreign minister, saying, quote, "We do not want our ceasefire, and we will make the aggressor regret it." So Iran not wanting a ceasefire under any terms. Let's take a look here at some of these nuclear energy plays. There's quadruple U, that's Energy Fuels. Take a look at CCJ and NNE. A lot of these moving around just after 11 a.m. after Brad Smith, president and vice chair of Microsoft, announced that MSFT and NVIDIA have entered a nuclear AI deal. So nice look for some of these nuclear plays. Let's also keep an eye out for President Trump. At 1:30 p.m., he will be live swearing in Mark-Wayne Mullen as the new Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. I'll be covering that for you guys. Very likely not market moving, but who knows what can and will be said. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and get ready for Neil's lesson. Neil, what lesson is in store?
That's a good one, Adara. You know, sometimes I feel as if, like, most traders out there would rather just be sitting up in the hot tub popping bubbly, right? You know, you don't want to be getting stopped out while you're screaming the stock's punishing me. Because you want to be in trades that don't stop. Watch the trades get wicked. So when you get in, even Adara be like, don't stop, get it, get it. That's what we're all looking for. You know what? So just for anyone out there, in the morning show, actually, it was in the pre-market. Someone dropped in the chat, "Yo, Neil, you've got to do, I want something from Big Pun." I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go with that, because it was a pre-market and we were just talking nonsense or just doing our regular thing. So I'm like, let me throw it into the lesson of the day. So here's what the lesson's going to be. Of course, Big Pun, rest in peace, was fantastic. Dead in the middle of little Italy. Little did he know that we riddled some middlemen who didn't do diddly. That's one of my favorite ones. But sometimes it's not the way you want it to be. Now, I'll be the first to admit, Joe, I'm like you on IBIT, bro. I want 70,000 to hold so bad. So bad. I traded 4 times. This was holding 40 even. Once didn't work. It bounced the first time, and this is where you should know, right? We bounced the time it worked clean off of the support level. And then every single time there was any kind of a potential breakout entry, I'm just taking the same trade again. You know, it's like, fine, once this doesn't work, I'm not shorting VWAP, not that. Does Neil ever short VWAP on a downward trend? Yeah, usually like every day. Not this time. I'm just trying to go into those longs every single time, which is a mistake. But when you don't have a read on something, sometimes it's okay to just switch the lookup. Like I didn't want to get away from crypto. And if the thing I wasn't doing, which was shorting off of VWAP over there, well then give me something where it's going to at least look a little bit more clear to me. Just change the look. I'm not saying BMNR is going to move terribly differently from IBIT. I just need to have a different look and feel where I can see it, have an idea that makes some sense structurally to me instead of forcing something over in Bitcoin, which would be look at the wedge. If we're actually just trending down, and by the way, oil futures just spiked to the high, so maybe we are going to trend down again. We break a wedge downside so that I can be engaged in the direction that the thing I was trading was going, and I can join it. I can have a reasonable out, which is the top of the wedge. I can have a target, which is the double bottom, and all those things slide into the picture. Because the truth of the matter is, there's no, let's say shortage of things that are going to make a ton of sense to you. And I want to go to the 15-minute. If you're patient enough, and when you do have the read, like remember SoFi off the bottom? Like you know what you're waiting for. You wait all day for the one trade. If that doesn't work, am I going to sit there short, like going long a million times off that level? No. You've just got to think about when something isn't working for you. Step out of the box, call a timeout. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. But if I'm getting chopped up in Bitcoin, it could be as simple as, hey, is Mara looking better? Can I find the levels there? This is where I want to be, but it's not working for me on IBIT. Is BMNR going to be a play? MSTR? Whatever it might be, it could be something incredibly similar. Now, I'm not promising you, like in this particular case, that that I would be able to find a nice setup here for the short in BMNR where the structure makes some sense to me and I have the targets that I'd like and it sets up technically. I could also just not get into a trade. But sometimes this is what it's all about. It's regrouping and staring down the same name. You could be trading NVIDIA. Whoops, that's not Amex. BNMR is Amex, NVIDIA is not. You could be trading an NVIDIA when all of a sudden you decide, I don't have a read on this thing. Hey, does AMD make more sense? Does Micron make more sense? Does Marvell make more sense? Does the SMH make more sense? There's always something else you can express the trade on. And really, it sometimes could be as simple as, I don't have the read on this thing that I normally trade every day. I need to look at something else because I'm not feeling it. There's nothing wrong with that. And there isn't always a pivot. I'm not here to tell you that, oh, you can always just pivot to another stock that you can get a read on that's going to be better. It's not always going to be that simple. But every now and then, you do want to try to switch it up. If you can, I just saw Emra Alkman say short SMCI. If there's two fails, one, it was not being good enough on SoFi on that long off the bottom. Part of it, I can't predict as I'm trying to get in position, that's when that news break was going to happen. That was a big fail. The other big fail is SMCI getting trailed out here and not getting back in on the VWAP fail. And then, of course, as I'm looking at BMNR, SMCI goes right back into the top and goes lower. So I agree with you, SMCI is a short. Instead, I got into Bitcoin, or, well, BMNR for the crypto fade. But remember, traders, you don't have to be stubborn about it. Just because you usually trade something doesn't mean you have to stick to that one thing over and over and over and over again until you find it working. You can pivot, there might be another symbol, could be in the same sector, could be related, could just have a better read, a cleaner chart, and has patterns that work for you. And that's ultimately what you're trying to find in trading. You find patterns that work for you. Where that happens is up for interpretation. Yeah, I'm still not a player, but we all try to crush a lot on the trade desk. Let's send you guys back to the midday. Oh, lunch. So the chicken biryani, we got a lot of rice. Yeah, just like simple rice, some peas, carrots, kind of plain. But there's a little bit of kick. Oh, Adair's not here. there's a little bit of kick to the vegetables, which I'm digging. Like the vegetables with a little bit of pepper, it's fantastic. They're cooked really well. I'll give the vegetables a solid 8.2. The chicken will get like a 7.3 to me. It's tasty, right amount of flavor, a little bit dry. If it wasn't dry, it would get a much better mark because the flavor I think is fantastic. But I'm definitely liking the lunch. But the vegetables are the hit. Just someone should warn Adara when she comes back, which I'll probably do, that it's going to be spicy for her. So if you see Adara freaking out at the desk when she's eating her lunch, it's because it had a little too much kick. Let's go back to the boys. Good luck on all of your trading. Oh, I gave it like a low 7, like 7.3. But the vegetables get an over 8 because the vegetables were good. Yeah, the vegetables are nice.
Respectable stuff from, as always, Mr. Neil Roberts himself. Sandwich last week got an 8.8. Yesterday, I think was one of his lowest. I think it's a pretty low score on the chicken parm there. No, I can't even score that one. I can't even score that one there. But anyways, guys, listen, TSLL slowly starting to work. We're waiting for that additional leg lower, okay? We're risking 10 cents. We want to wait another 10 cents so we can hit that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. But also, I didn't have too much size on this position, so therefore I need to hold it for a longer and a larger move, which can or maybe not is less likely to work in my favor. But I do believe the way that Tesla's looking, we may get this breakdown. But if the market decides to bounce off of VWAP, which looks like NVDA might potentially here, that could be a massive game changer. And where are we currently sitting? Yeah, we are south of VWAP here on Tesla, so I have to be prepared to sit through an additional pullback. Hopefully, we can get some sellers to step back in and we get that curl over and then now establish a new lower leg there. All right, why not use TSLQ, Joe? We can take a look. I can ask you why not use TSLL, right? TSLQ. Let's see what the liquidity is like on compared to these two. All right, Bear Daily. I appreciate you, Durant Gordon, my boy. Okay, liquidity's there. Good look on the liquidity, but it literally doesn't make a difference. SQQ, TQ, whatever you want to use, I don't see much of a difference there between the two. TSLL is just something that I pick up directs on. It's one of the more common ones in my opinion, so that's the only reason why. I mean, it's the same thing essentially, and if you want to use whatever vehicle, by all means, continue to do so. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, okay. Maybe a long on NVDA. So Neil and I had identical entries on IBIT throughout the day. Now, where I must give credit to the teach, even though the professors, the teach, right? For me, coming from the student, considering from an experience standpoint, you the teach, brother, is this, Neil. We had very identical entries on the long, and this one was really close. We were only a couple pennies away, but the difference between you and I is Neil got out when he was supposed to, and I held. Okay, and sure enough, that's when you take that larger loss than you're supposed to, and you're supposed to get out. Other than that, relatively the same idea that we were looking for Bitcoin to climb higher. His execution significantly better, following to those rules, and I mentioned that first thing this morning.
All right. In ANA, in RBNE, and in feed. ANA, we took a good trade on finally. We're back in here, but I'm looking for continuation. Now, the current bar is not really appetizing, so I got back in half the size that I got in initially. I'm stopping out below the low of the 12 o'clock bar, which is 813. So if that doesn't hold, I'm out. On ANNA feed, I'm also involved in that. Where is my feed? There it is. It breaks trend. Really taking out those area highs above 230, but struggling to continue on FEED. Let's see if this one can work its way back into the $0.50. It's shown me a lot that's good here. Now it just has to manifest. I stop out. I took smaller size on feed, full disclosure, because the breakout. We stop out below prior bar low, which is around 218. And I'm flapping around like Kepa. Sorted out. I feel a little bit bad for how I came at Kepa yesterday. It wasn't all his fault, okay? I want to blame Hinakapi as well. Okay? No, seriously.
Spread the blame.
Yeah, I want to spread the blame around everywhere. Shout out to Adam James, man. You killed me, brother. Love this guy. He's always making me chuckle. Adam James dropping 2 in the chat. We appreciate you. And make sure to get the morning note right there, guys. Hit the, or scan that QR code right there. I hit that by accident, but it absolutely makes sense, dude. But bro, I can't for the life of me understand why. I know you don't know any of these people, but I got a vent. Okay?
Vent, my boy.
Hold on. Let me just tell you something.
Okay, I know you're gonna tell me quick.
In soccer,
I have to vent to you after. Okay.
All right. In soccer, most of the time they got 4 defensemen. Okay, 2 center backs and 2 left back and right back. But the left back and right back will attack as well. Sports. So the position that I'm talking about is a left back position. We got 3 people that fill that position. We got Hinakapié, we got Calafiori, and we have a kid called Maulus Kelly, who's fantastic.
Fantastic.
In my opinion, the order condescendi for that position goes Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, Hinakapié. Why the hell Hinakapié keeps starting ahead of them is... I got some theories. I'm not going to vent them.
You're not going to say them.
Because they're a little controversial, but I got some theories.
Oh, is he in with the manager?
Well, 1 second.
All right, pause.
There goes RBNE. We're a bigly on this one. We got a lot of size here, guys. So I got to digress a little bit and concentrate on this trade. Shout out to my man. Luis Barbados laughing. All right, guys, I just have to focus on this trade because I have substantially more size in RBNE than I have in any other trades. So Anna stopped me out, which is fine. We'll take an L on that, but we can make it all up here. Let's see exactly what RBNE has to offer. Are we going to continue and we're going to move back into that 220 area? We're getting the move above 2, but you can see the selling in the 205. We can't shake the sellers at this level. There's a huge seller at 205, and you're not seeing any size get taken off the level 2, quite frankly. What the beak here, let's see exactly what kind of liquidity we can get. It's not filling, there we go. There's a monster seller here at 205. I'm just continuing to watch, and there's more selling coming in at 205, guys. Full disclosure, look, I think we had like 200 lots. Now it's up to 5 something. So there's a monster seller on RBNE at 205. Let's see if we attempt another take at that. I'm also in feed. We'll get to the Hinakapié thing in a minute, but for now, I'm just watching RBNE reject. Let's see if it holds trend. So that's what I'm looking for here, for it to hold above 2-ish, and to hold the higher lows as well. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now. I think we have to go up to Adara. Are we going up to Adara, Fabian? Not yet. Okay, so we're not going to Adara. We're going to continue to watch RBNE. We're looking for that move back into 205 so I can kind of get an idea of how much size is still there. But now we're kind of rejecting at 204, Joey. So kind of hard to know exactly what's waiting for us at 205. Packing the patience. Also watching here, feed as this one's coming right back up. Let's see if this can take out 235. We have smaller size on feed here, so I'm not as concerned with this trade as I am with RBNE. We're going to pack the patience. Here we go, attempting to take out prior area high. We've already taken out prior bar high, but I'm looking at the 1205 bar, the high of which is 234. We're going up to Adara.
Keep an eye on Shopify here. I did mention SHOP in relation to a ChatGPT, an OpenAI related announcement with a shop feature, but SHOP actually pushing higher now. The company announcing itself that as of this week, or starting this week, millions of merchants are now going to be able to sell to ChatGPT users directly using Agentic storefronts. So greater details here, the Shopify OpenAI integration via ChatGPT, Agentic. Good headlines there, good buzzwords for SHOP. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Derek. There goes RBNE. They killed the 205 seller, Joey. He's unalived, as people like to say on social media so that they don't get banned. All right, 207. I think we did flash up to 208. Yes, 208 showing up again. We're still holding size here, 209. Can we continue? It's a 220 high, guys. So we're basically really looking at the high of the day now as the level that's going to hold us back, assuming we can take out that 210 area, not an area that I had earmarked for any significant significant resistance, but nonetheless, it is showing up anyway. RBNE is up 87% and change. It's holding structure quite well. The higher lows are what kind of gave me the confidence to get in and size up, because the higher lows, you know, it tells you that the buyers are picking this up at higher and higher levels. Let's see if we can move up into 210. We're right back into that 209 area. There is selling coming in here. There's literally selling at every level. 210, Joey, more selling. We get the print at 210. We're looking for continuation here. I'm looking for the high of the day. I'm trying to pack the patience so that we don't take it out, the majority of the size that is, ahead of the high of the day. Let's see what this one can offer us. Do you usually use 5-minute candles for small cap in general and not one? So I've mentioned this before, cool brioche. If we can go to my chart, Fabian, so I can show everybody. So the top screen here, like this one, is the 1 minute. On the bottom here, that's the 5-minute. My black charts, though, when I pull these in, will 99.99% of the time, unless I tell you different, they will always be the 5-minute charts on these the black charts. It's the white charts where the top chart is 1 minute and bottom chart is 5. And it's easier to see the prints on the one. When I show them to you guys on the 5, they overlap and it gets to be convoluted. So that's kind of why I took that out. Feed is disappointing me a little bit here. I'm not too concerned about it because it's holding prior area resistance. I also have less shares than I have on RBNE. So I'm really focusing here on RBNE to see if we can hold above 2. I think if we can defend 2 and defend 2 well, that puts us in a good position here to retest the high of the day. But technically right now, it is a lower high, a 210 rejection with a 220 high. So, you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We're looking for continuation at least into that $1/5 of a dollar. Now.
Yes. Oh, we're going back there.
Yeah, I got a vent, Joey. So, in the order condescendi, the guy they keep playing is last in line. Now, they bought this guy from Bayer Leverkusen, which is a German team in the Bundesliga. He's a good player, but he's a good player at center back. Why they're trying to convert this guy into a left back when he's not really, he doesn't have the skills. He's taller guy. He's like, you know, he's supposed to be, you know, kind of creating a whole lot of ruckus for any forwards, right? That's what you put a center back for. Anyway. So this guy was one of the reasons we kind of gave up the first goal. He continues to be kind of that Achilles heel at the back. Yeah. But put this guy in the center, an entirely different player. Put him on the wings.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You don't get it.
I don't get it.
You got to write it right in. Are we going to Adara?
I think we are.
I have news here for you guys from META. Wall Street Journal reporting that Meta's naming a new AI leader. That is going to be its CTO, Andy Bosworth. So again, WSJ reporting that Meta's CTO, or Chief Technology Officer, Andy Bosworth, is going to be leading Meta's AI tools built for internal use. This was just reported, not a massive move here for the stock, or certainly not anything different from what the overall market's doing, but wanted to let you guys know. Looks like we might have a new leader in AI at META.
How many people is this company going to hire, bro? Can we at least see a product? Like,
but Sharif, don't forget, he's just cutting everywhere, and he's going to hire some more people, and then cut from this segment and cut from that one, some more
Joey,
just other jobs.
He's hired a lot of people, and we really haven't seen the product, that kick-ass product that you can expect with all that talent.
With the Scale AI individual, what's his name again?
Alexander Wang. Oh, you're talking about Scale? Yeah, Alexander Wang.
Wait, right?
He's had
he
that
brought
for
in
a
all
minute,
the.
though,
Well, I mean, last year is when they came in, and we haven't really seen anything just yet.
No, but he's hired. Remember, like, he's been poaching people from Apple. He's been poaching people from everywhere. I need to see a product, man. Like, where's avocado at? Lamo's hot garbage. And then they've got,
Do you think that the glasses are a part of the product?
Yeah, I'm assuming that there's definitely going to be an overlap between wearables and AI. I mean, that just stands to reason.
Well, there has to be.
Of course, right?
There has to be.
I think the physical products, though, I'm not really talking about the lack of quality on the physical products, because not everybody's going to be Apple. Let's be fair, okay? In terms of quality of the physical product. But I'm just talking about the actual AI itself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
give him time. Give him a little bit more time, maybe. Right? I think at some point. Well, I'll give you a quick vent, Sharif, and I don't know if this is arrogant of me or I live in somewhat of a dream world, but I'll tell you this: I have a strong feeling that if I were to be able to take management of the Toronto Maple Leafs, I could build a better team. I'm delusional, am I not? I don't know. I just feel like I can construct a better team than what these guys have over the past decade or so, the lost decade, as I call it. Slightly delusional, but apparently you have to be sometimes in order to be extremely successful. All right, Birdman, what's up? All right.
What happened to that?
Yeah, exactly. AXTI, can I please get your thoughts on this bad boy? For sure, man.
What happened to that boy?
Yeah, exactly. Let's pull up AXTI and see what we got going on over there. Enjoy who we trust. Thank you. Exactly. I think I could do it. I'm telling you. Give me a bunch of picks, and I swear, from the bottom up, I think I can construct a really, really good team. All right, AXTI. Moving forward. And no, I never even did that in video games, so it doesn't even matter. All right, so I mean, it's pretty choppy here, right? We're not gonna beat around that bush. And sure enough, with the volume weighted average price, we do have some pivot levels that we can base a trade off of, essentially, is that we're holding up these higher lows, okay? That's positive. There is a clear supply zone around $70.69, and you do have a couple whipsaw moves through that specific level, okay? Moving forward, what does the daily look like? Massive, massive move. This isn't, wow. This is insane, actually. This has really, really gone parabolic, guys. What does AXTI do? AXT Inc.? Let's figure that out, because I have absolutely no idea. But if you go from, we'll go from the start of the year alone, and that doesn't even do any justice, essentially. $16 all the way up here, that's 320%, let alone the appreciation you're getting from when it was $3 back in September of 2025. 2,100%? That's insane. All right, let's actually figure out what this bad boy does. AXTI. Fundamentals is a material science company that develops and manufactures high-performance compound and single-element semiconductor wafer. Ooh, okay, very comprising indium phosphate, gallium. Okay, very interesting. So that name has gone absolutely parabolic, and that's a really, really good look. I mean, you don't want to go against it. Are you comfortable with buying the highs? What are the earnings reports looking like? Are they growing at an exponential rate? Market cap at 3.8 billion, so relatively small, but that thing looks absolutely phenomenal. So not too bad of a look, and you learn something new every day. Moving forward, let's get right back into what we have going on Tesla. Bitcoin does look like it wants to break down. So maybe it will take that additional leg lower. We're failing to break through this previous pivot high, so could that be a green light for me to re-engage for a potential move lower? Let it consolidate a little bit longer, right? We're just starting. We had about 10-15 minutes here or so where we're just moving sideways, and that's going to be the same narrative and what I'm essentially looking for here in Tesla. We chop around this range, fail to establish a new high, then maybe we can catch the top end and take an additional leg lower, all right? So that's my game plan there. I've taken my attempts on IBIT, so I won't be trading that anymore, and I just feel that the NASDAQ and the Qs are not really doing anything in order for me to look to engage, all right? So we're gonna look for those single stocks, short in IBIT coming. Can we get the continuation in the short side here on Tesla? Is that a pullback? What does the volume profile look like? Volume by time, that is. And are we slowly going to start to curl over? NVDA heading back towards VWAP, so keep an eye out on that one. And we'll head over to our watch list and see what some of the other big boys are up to. Is Apple still hovering around the high of the days? Well, we'll figure that out here momentarily. And yes, it is. You have that pullback, but bought back up immediately, and then you retest the HOD. Now, moving forward, Qualcomm, not the best performer. I want to see what the quantum space is. I know we typically go over there. Just considering how hot it was at one point, and then now it's just down 60, 70% in some of the respective names from their previous high. 71% in QUBT. Ouch. Okay, that's not fun whatsoever. And then we'll go over a couple more. IonQ. Not a good look either. High of $85 all the way down to 32. You get a 61% haircut right there. That's really tough. You have to wait for these trend lines to be broken, in my opinion, in order to engage to the long side. Fully intact, and they're giving you a display like, hey, buyers aren't overly engaged here, guys. So keep an eye out on that one. Circle taking an aggressive move lower as well, too, Sharif. $137 down to 102 right now from that previous pivot high. You're already down a quarter, 25%.
All right, Super Chat, just want to mention quickly, RBNE, seller at 10s. So I've wet the beak a couple of times at 10s. The two prior candles both reject off 210. Yeah, 210 is the level that we're rejecting. There's the prior candle is a doji candle with basically a non-existent body. So what I'm watching here is I've seen for the last about 15 minutes, no, about 11 minutes or so, because this new candle is like 1 or 2 minutes deep. Let's just go with 12 minutes, is that we've been defending 2 since we got back above it. We don't necessarily have that very, very stringent higher low pattern. We don't, because prior bar, the 1220 bar, breached the low of the 1215 bar. So what I'm trying to keep my eye out on here is if we can take out the 210 seller. Now I've put an order here at 215 for a good amount of shares. With that ultimate high, I very, very much realize is 220. However, when you look at the 5-minute chart and the closing prints on the 1055 bar and the 11 o'clock bar, which were the ones making the high of the day, the closing prints are all around 211, 210, 211. So the fact that we're rejecting 210 should be of no surprise. And it really isn't. Here we go, coming back down into 2. Let's see if we find support at 2 again. Prior bar low, as I mentioned, on this one is 198. So we dipped down into 2. We met with aggressive buying. Back up into 202, 204 we go. But it doesn't feel like, at least for the moment, that we're going to be able to take out the 210 seller. Moreover, there was an annoying seller as well at 205, if you'll recall, that we had to shake. So let's watch here RBNE. Let's see what this one has to offer. We're going to pack the patience, and then we'll report back to you guys. Shout out to Son of Daniel Cheese. I can't even read the whole thing. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Hey, guys, is there a chance that I don't know what, what is that?
Take Two, maybe?
Take Two Interactive,
yeah.
I'm assuming, is down 3 1/3 today because rising gas prices make all those stolen cars unrealistic? Okay, I don't know what to say to that. Shout out to you. You know, man, can I say something? I was watching the local news yesterday. Thank you very much for the super chat, by the way. I was watching the local news, and they were talking about some bust that they had in Peel region for a carjacking ring, and then so they were giving the data on carjackings in the city, and they're like, in the last 12 months, carjackings, not car thefts, just carjackings, down 85%.
So no one's jacking cars right
Not
now.
as much, and I gotta say, I kind of agree with that, because it was almost like every other day there'd be Mitch Marner in the middle of the street, you know, get out of the car. It was every day. It was every day. I feel like that's happened a bit less.
I told you my buddy that I bought the condo with, his car got stolen right out of the underground.
Okay, so
that's different. That's different. But there was that ring that was going on.
Well, that's the thing.
And it was all
that's what they were announcing.
And they were all
busted that ring.
Yeah, like those guys were putting in serious work. There were so many cars stolen.
So many cars.
It's like who
they ship them on containers. That most of them go to Africa or the Middle East. And here's the jokes part. Up until recently, like if you put in a tracking device on your car and you knew where the car was, right? So you go to the cops, like, hey, my car is stolen, but thankfully, here it is. It's in the Montreal shipping yard. Go get it. We're like, oh, we can't
do anything.
Why
about
not,
that.
Officer? Well, we can't. We got to go through the process. We need a warrant. It's like, officer, my car is there. Can I show you the app? And it was like, it was the biggest disconnect between reality and like what the law allowed. Anyway, I feel like we've improved a little bit there. There's another bill going through Parliament. Shout out to your boy Carney. He's trying to shore stuff up as well. I'll give the guy credit, man. He is nothing like his predecessor. Nothing.
So they found my buddy's car, right? Destroyed. Like they ran this thing to the ground. There's like ground beef in the back, like rice in a container.
Were they having a picnic?
I swear to God.
Why
dude.
were they doing
there was
that?
A container of ground beef in the back, and I'm like, oh my God, it was insane. But the car wasn't drivable after. And he knocked on my door in the morning. He's like, yo, Joe. He's like, yo, Joe, my car's not there. And I'm like, well, I was thinking this guy is obviously, you know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Your car's not there. We live in an upscale area.
And?
He's like, yo, it's not there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe you parked it in the wrong spot. And I wasn't believing him. But then we went around, we drove around the parking lot. It was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah.
That happened once in my building. It's only happened once. So somebody got followed in because there's a gate, right, with the arm.
Yeah.
And it comes down, and you have to follow really closely. Otherwise, it'll hit your car.
Yeah, hit your car.
There's no sensor. It'll hit your car. So anyway, so he got followed in, and he had a weapon. And he at gunpoint.
He said, "Give me the car."
Yeah. He literally took it and got the hell out of there.
Yeah, there's no way.
They followed him in.
Yeah.
He had a range, so it was like one of those cars that was, you could tell they probably followed him home and stuff like that. But sadly, the police don't do a whole
45. We don't know what it was. Probably a 9mm.
Who knows, man?
Yeah, who knows? We don't necessarily know the type of firearm.
Guys, continuing to watch here, RBNE, man. We keep working in to that 207, 208, 210. Here's 208 again. We're unable to take out 210, but it feels like we are accumulating for a flat top break. It is really hard to know whether this one's going to resolve itself into the highs. I'm going to hold the position. Come hell or high water. We're going to either get stopped out of this or we're going to print. So let's see which one happens. Bless you, Ram. Let's keep an eye on the chat as well. Shout out to Jay Lee, Joe, Sharif. This is why I drive my old Civic everywhere. Smart, Jay. No carjacking worries or other BS like brake checking insurance hunters. That happens a lot, Jay. So yeah, you're pretty much on the ball when it comes to that. Timothy, I'll look at those in a second. A green Sabre, 005. Fabian says he loves to drive manual because it's a lot harder to steal because the schmucks don't know how to drive manual. He didn't say that. I added that in. Especially if you have a messed up clutch and only you know how to drive it. Yeah, you got to be sensitive with the timing there. Every car is a little different. Green Sabre, did you hear about the guy's business truck that was used by ISIS with his logo? Yes, I did, man. And the car ended up in the middle. Yeah, that was the craziest. Green Sabre, yeah, one of the cars got stolen, ended up in the Middle East, and then your friends at ISIS were using it there as a company vehicle. He's like, that's my car. No. He knew it. He was like, there was some sort of earmark on the car that he knew for a fact it was his. I thought that was hilarious. Let's have a look at Timothy's callouts there. That'd be the joke, sis. Oh man, that's a good one. Let's see what NIXX is up to. Not a bad look at all. Very stair step up, not bad. Light on volume for the most part, but you're breaching the dollar. You actually took out the dollar quite decidedly there into 109, up 33% or 32 4/5. Good call out, Timothy. That's a really good one right there. Shout out to you, my man. We're going to take off. Who are you taking off here? We're taking. I think we're going to take off Swimmer because Swimmer looks like it's going to lose the bid. We'll keep an eye out on this. Here we go. Here we go, Joey. We just breached a 210 on RBNE. The buying's coming in, but look at the selling. Defend that level right back down. We did breach pry bar. There's 15. There's the print. Boom. Nice. Now we're making it back. Let's look for continuation now. We're looking for the move into 20. We got 15s. We've got 93s on here. We still have a lot of shares. So let's see if this one can take out prior area high. That now is 220 on RBNE. Current bar high. I believe we did get into 16. Let's see if the continuation happens here. Sorry, Timothy, I'm going to have to focus on this one. I'll try and look at that next one. MKDW is the one that he was talking about, guys. We'll look at that one in a second, but just trying to pack the patience here. What do you got, Joey?
Good stuff. All right, so there was an opportunity to get involved here one more time on Tesla. You can see that we double topped, and then now we're starting to go back over. So one more retest of this zone. I'm going to look to get in. Oh, what a move lower. Too much carjacking talk here, man. We got to lock right back in here, but essentially 1306, a good opportunity to get involved for the move lower as Tesla's really starting to slide. So what happened was I enter, and then as soon as it came back, right, like at that point we're at a 1.5 to 1 risk to reward. I'm not going to allow this to turn into a losing trade just in case it decides to squeeze. So one more pullback, which we might not get here on Tesla, that I'm going to be looking to engage. We have NVDA cracking through some key support levels, and the same thing with the NASDAQ heading towards the volume-weighted average price and the momentum slowly starting to uptick. So BIF from yesterday is now $1 down $1 to around 375. Would have been a good short off the highs yesterday, like 25%, eh? Yeah, let's see there, my friend Jay Lee. I know you like to put the A at the end because you are
a little mother.
Could not get heart. Oh, I don't even have that. Okay, I can't even pull that. Oh, corporate bonds. Okay, that's why. But yeah, other than that, good luck, brother. I know you always have your eye on certain things. Aside from that, we got our eyes off of Bitcoin. I don't see anything overly attractive at this point other than Circle. Right, so we'll head back over to Circle as it's just continuously putting in these new lows now to 102.35. Not good, right? But even though that's a substantial move lower, it's just continuously bleeding. You can't. There's no stopping it. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's probably at some point you'll find somewhat of a rebound, but you can see how large that engulfing print on the daily is compared to the move that we've seen. Massive move, and we talk about it all the time. The move that we see to the top side, at some point. Regardless of how strong it is, you're probably going to see an equal and opposite reaction to the downside, and here it is in Circle. All right, PPL trending higher. Yeah, Apple's still around the high of the day.
Why is it trending higher?
I mean, we'll take it for what it is.
I don't mind, obviously.
But
I'm
it's
just wondering.
It's just going awful right now.
It's kind of like the value Mag 7, I've noticed. That it trends kind of opposite to some of these Mag 7s lately. I feel like when the market is kind of risk off, Apple seems to do a little bit better. That's not something that I like, I gotta tell you the truth. I'd rather it be more connected to the market. Guys, RBNE. Where is it?
Right here. Oh, sorry.
Joey.
I didn't mean to.
We can do
Right here,
this.
the money.
But yeah, get it. Come on.
It's pretty. It's so pretty.
I don't know. I think Apple can remain a little bit stronger, Sharif, just due to the fact that these guys aren't spending boatloads of cash like the other
That's
names.
another thing.
Right?
And that's kind of why I feel like they're kind of a safe haven. It's like, oh, they're not spending that much money, throw it in. But look, I like a lot of what I'm seeing out of the company now. I like the China sales. I like the upcoming devices. We'll see how many of those are just, speculation and how many are real. I'm talking about the foldable. I'm talking about the AirPods that may or may not have cameras. I'm talking about the crazy demand now for that new $599 laptop that everybody apparently is getting their hands on. It's like sold out everywhere from my understanding, and it's super cheap, and it also gets you into Apple's ecosystem at a pretty thrifty price. And I don't mind that, locking in high school kids, junior high kids into the Apple ecosystem with a really good device, and really kind of taking a little bit of the market share away from Chromebook. I think it's a lot better than Chromebook, personally. We'll have to wait. I like what I'm seeing, but I'd really like a cleaner AI look, especially for Apple Intelligence. If they could just get that duck in a row, I think we'd be beset, but that seems to still be a problem there.
We have 2 super chats there, Steve, if you want to go over them. All right, I'll go over them.
Thanks, Jay. I appreciate you, brother.
KBBG6VD. Here, oh yeah, the market really starting to slide. Strong leg lower in IBIT. Missed opportunity here once again on the re-engagement there on Tesla. Oh well, we'll find something else. There's plenty of time left in the day, and if not, so be it. All right. So here in Texas, carjacking is back for your health. Okay, I mean, it's probably not good for your health. I'll give you a little bit of anxiety and some PTSD. And then our boy Mopar for life. When I was in Texas, a guy got out of his car and jacked me for my shoes back in the day. Not a carjacking, but theft nonetheless. I mean, at least you got out of there with just losing your shoes and not your vehicle as well, too. Either way, it's not good. But yeah, I've had some bad experiences in the city, but nonetheless, nothing like any theft off of me personally.
No,
so.
I haven't either. I've never experienced that kind of thing.
I told you what happened to me at the park.
Remind me.
Remember, I was just sitting down eating the food. That was
crazy.
Scary. That was probably the scariest.
Weirdest thing that happened to me in the city. This is a true story. It's like literally 10 houses away from me. A man hit me in the face with a yard waste bag and then ran away. And he looked like Eminem. And yeah, that is the craziest thing that's happened to me in the city.
Did he suffer from mental health issues?
I honestly don't know. Like, I don't think that was necessarily what was happening. He just looked very angry. He was kicking the yard waste bag. I tried to move away. I guess I was too close. He yelled something at me. I couldn't hear it. I was wearing headphones. And yeah, I got smacked with the yard waste bag. So that is my crazy city story.
That's kind of, I mean, I don't know, man. Drugs, mental health, I don't know. I told you about the guy that tried to beef me yesterday at the gym. I was like, I'm just like minding my business. I got my headphones on. There's a bench there. I'm like, hey, very nicely, as I always do, right? Are you using that? And then he mumbles something. I didn't hear him, so I took off the headphones so I can hear him a little bit better. So I repeated him like, hey, can you use that? It's like, there's a bar there. Obviously, I'm like, okay, it's too early for this, and I still got to go back to work. I just walk away. Bro, it is just not worth it. You know, these guys, they could have all the problems in the world. You have no idea. Why even engage with them?
Don't engage.
I don't even engage, man. I told you about that subway thing. We were playing James Bond. I just got the hell out of there, man. I'm not going to even bother with this guy.
We don't got time for that.
I'm outie. I'm not even trying to fight or anything like that. All right, let's go. Guys, topping till candle into 220. This could be trouble here. Technically, it's a 219 touch on RBNE, but we're rejecting. And it's a topping till candle. And this candle, the current candle, the 1240 candle, is about to breach the low of said topping till candle, which is a 1235 candle. We could be headed down here. Let's see if we catch another bid. I've got an order waiting at 220. So if it does actually hit that 220 and crosses, then I'll get the fill. So this is kind of a liquidity tester for me. I'm not putting a lot of size at that 220. I'm packing the patience. We took a good amount here at 216. I'm pleased with that trade. We're still a little negative on the day, which is fine, but we've really made a lot of it back vis-a-vis this trade. I'm not going to give it back because I've de-risked here. What I'm looking for is a possible move into the quarter dollar. If we clear the quarter dollar, I've got a bias that we get into the half dollar. But that is all predicated on, of course, us breaching this 220 area. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, Joey. This topping till candle is manifesting exactly what I thought. There's aggressive selling now coming in. All right, there's buying too all of a sudden here. 212. So I guess the longs are not letting the shorts off the hook that easy. The shorts have been squeezed above 2. They're on the ropes, but right now they're getting a second wind vis-a-vis this 220 rejection and a move back down into 211, 210. Give you some levels on this one. As I mentioned, we've already breached prior bar low, which was 212. We're at it right now. The low of this candle is 209. The 10 EMA on the 5, 205, and then obviously $2 was a hard level for us to regain after we had lost it initially after that pop at 11 o'clock. Here we go again, though, showing 214s, 215s. This is all over the dang map. If we can breach this 220 area with this candle, that'll like make me question all my TA skills because we're not really supposed to breach a doji candle prior bar low. Now this candle's turning into a hammer candle. Hasn't done anything yet. Hasn't cleared that 220, but looking real good here. I'm not taking anything out. The next area we're looking, 220, and we're still going to hold. We're still holding good shares here. So let's see exactly what we get. We won't get upset. Ryan, Sharif is really out there causing trouble in the gym. I'm really not, brother. My gym is my place of peace. I want no beef, okay? I want no beef. I want to go in. I want to do my work. I want to smile at everyone. I want to be pleasant. But not everybody else feels that way. Some people, they come in, you know, maybe they've had a rough day. They're on some other stuff. Really, huh? Really?
That's you out there, my boy.
This guy, bro. I love this guy, man. Unreal. All right. What are you weighing in, Sharif? Dude, I weighed myself for the first time in months yesterday, 208.9. Yeah, this is like one of my heaviest weights at this body fat. So I'm kind of happy about that, which makes sense because we're going on vacation next week.
Where are you going? Where are you going, my boy?
To Canada.
Ooh, I know where you're going. You're gonna you'll like the beach there, but don't expect anything.
I heard the beach is wild at the resort that I'm staying. People keep saying that it's one of the best beaches.
It's really nice.
That's what people. He's been there too, by where I'm going.
Like I did, me and my boys did some body surfing and stuff there. No crazy waves or anything. Shout out Mike P. DeRider, but yeah, a lot of fun at the beach you'll have.
Yeah, I don't really know.
And the
slides
are fun.
The slides I heard are really good as well. Yeah, this guy's like, yo, they're really high. Joey, you're hilarious. All right, guys, Bora only wants some eggs. Yeah, man, I'm all about that egg life. Shout out to Trader 604. Yeah, man, hyped up on pre-workout. They can't sustain themselves at the gym. I don't know what was up with this guy, but you know, as soon as I felt that vibe coming from him, I literally looked away and walked away. I'm like, he's not going to mess up my day. We came here, we got to work. We had a good day yesterday. So Bun him. Sex. Shout out to Hangry Wife. The mustaches, the 8 pounds on top of the 200. Not even, man. Sharif is a vegetarian at the gym, says JC Money. I just don't want any problems, man. Hyper cute.
What do you mean?
Big smile.
What do you mean? Gorillas are vegetarians. What does that mean?
They are actually vegetarians.
Hey, come on, man. Yeah, what does that mean?
What's that, Adara?
It means you don't want beef at the gym.
There you go.
Yeah,
Actually,
you don't want. There you go. There you go. Get that one.
There.
Bun him. That's crazy.
Scott Tomlinson, Sharif. Some people stick their beak where it doesn't belong. Excellent, Scott. Good for you for being the bigger guy. I wasn't really trying to be. I just wanted to have a good day. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson, one of the best, obviously. The best quotes ever. Guys, we're really getting a lot of indecision at this level, and it's concerning me a little bit here on RBNE. Look at all these candles. They are all candles of indecision with basically no bodies on any of them and just upper and lower wicks. That gives you an idea that the struggle between the longs and the shorts right now, well, at least for the moment, is finding an equilibrium, but I don't know. I think we're putting in a bit of a downtrend here. So let's see. I'm not going to let this go against me, obviously. We're in at 193. You better believe if it fails like 195, we're probably going to take this out. But I'd be remiss if I took it out here. But I do see the potential for a double top. We're not getting that immediate retracement off the area high like we got at 11, which is okay. It doesn't mean that we're going to clear. But I'm gonna continue to hold this, okay? If it drops below 195, we're in at 193, we'll get the hell out. But I need to allow this to develop a little bit more. I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't. Now, I could end up giving back on this, and that's fine. I'm willing to take that risk. But I want to see that 220 go. Fluffy. Gym is a place of peace. Everyone is kind to me, but then I'm in a wheelchair. LOL, always the same time. So same people, stay kind, my friend. I can't disagree with you more, Fluffy. I'm the same type of person. I'm in at the gym every day at the same time, and you end up seeing the same type of people. But I don't like to be one of those people that doesn't acknowledge those same people that I see at the gym. I know a lot of people do that, but I'll force a smile. Right, I'll throw the nod right to people that I see.
There's like 4 people that I like acknowledge at the gym, and it's just this.
Yeah, you just dab.
Boom, that's it. Do your thing.
I don't have long conversations.
No.
Just acknowledge the people. There's nothing wrong with that.
Seeing you in here, glad you're.
And dude, I mean, think about it. If you kept seeing the same people every day, aside from the gym, wouldn't you acknowledge them?
Absolutely.
Isn't it weird not to acknowledge
them?
them?
Man. Yeah, I think you have
the same people
But
every day.
Remember, I mentioned this the other day.
Yeah.
I found this is that like. You go up to a Canadian, you have a conversation with them, they'll talk to you, but sometimes they're not overly inviting.
No.
They're not right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like completely
Aren't you used to that though? We've been around that all my life.
Exactly.
You go to the States?
Boom, everybody
right away.
You can talk to anybody. Here it's not like that. Vacation
It's
a little
different.
bit different of a story.
I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree
it's like
with that.
stick to your own group. So all right, guys, let's go over some of the top performing sectors here today. As I was just taking a look at Walmart. All right, Walmart putting in a monster day here, guys, from 120 to 123. But the top performing sectors here this morning, 2.5%. Leading the way is going to be the energy sector, yes, and the materials sitting in second place, up 2 1/3. Not too bad of a look whatsoever. Utilities 1.5%. Consumer staples being led by the likes of WMT, up 0.75%. Now, as for the bottom 3, guys, consumer discretionary to the downside, Technologies to the downside, down 0.4, and then we have the communication service being led by Meta to the downside. So not the best look. Now, we've had our eyes on Tesla for quite some time now. We've had that rebound. Test 1. This is going to be test 2. I think this might be a good opportunity for us to potentially step in and take an additional short, even though it's kind of weird the position that we're sitting in. What am I thinking? Well, we failed to establish a new low right here, and then we failed to establish a new high up here. So what are we doing? We're just kind of flip-flopping, moving around. So I can go smaller size, put on 10% of daily risk, and see if we're going to kind of catch that movement. I'd be in exactly at the price that I was in previously on this other entry. And then if we're fortunate enough to get a move lower, maybe we take a little bit off just in anticipation that there might be another bounce. Why? Because it's already happened on multiple occasions. Okay, so yeah, let's keep an eye on that one. One more pullback here, and I think that's going to be a good green light for us to go. Let's get involved some, right? Why not? Shout out to Why Not. Haven't seen him in the chat. Ooh. So it's not the best entry, but as long as we hold this high, only a couple cents, 6 or 7 cents worth of risk on this trade to gain about the same. So 1 to 1, 1.5 to 1, roughly there. Now, moving forward, here is Walmart's daily. Really nice move, and we'll take a look at Costco because the staples were one of the stronger performing sectors here today. So there's Walmart, nice steady uptrend, steady Eddie, and then sure enough here is Cost. Let's see how that has been performing. Not too bad either. I know Adair likes trading this from time to time when the liquidity is there. You can see on the lower time frames lacking that. Now Procter & Gamble, also one of the heavier weighted ones, and that is not too bad either, but slowly starting to come back in Adair.
Interesting little catalyst here on Freshpet. FRPT on watch. Looks like there was a ruling that was resurfaced here. It was initially issued on March 17th. This is like about a week old now. But I guess the National Advertising Division issued a ruling again last week with regards to a challenge of Freshpet from the farmer's dog. Basically, this ruling found that some of Freshpet's claims were supported, but they also recommended the company stop making claims that their dog food is human grade. So this ruling from last week, recirculating FRPT, sharply to the downside. Back to you.
Neil, I've never done that, Neil. I can't say that I have.
I'm trying, Ian. Was that my boy Ian? Oh, it's Ian M, not Ian Ganther.
Come on, bro.
Where's Ian? Not in New England. I don't want to talk to anyone, says Mr. Leahy. Mr. Leahy, you're in New England, and you have the Mr. Leahy, so shout out. I guess that's over on that side, so you would like that one. But anyways, aside from that, guys, we're still short here. TSLL. Let's see if we can get this breakdown. We're now currently knocking on the volume-weighted average price from the south side. Okay, so we're trying to break through, not much risk. We'll get out if we have to at the break of this pivot, and then maybe we'll reassess the situation. We don't want to give it too many attempts, right, just in case. But I'm getting the choppy feel in today's session, considering the NASDAQ hasn't done too much today, guys. All right, not much going on here in the NAS. Bounce off of V up, a lengthy consolidation, a lot of overlapping candles, not something that I necessarily like to partake in. VGAS, please. What's up, Birdman's back. Please tell me I'm not crazy for dropping 10K on this bad boy at $1.69. I mean, hey, man, you got to be a little bit crazy to do some things. VGAS, Sammy Vargas. Shout out to Sammy Vargas, the guy who
come on, man.
was fighting out of my boxing gym. Only the boxing heads are popping on this one. Very clean fuels. What do we look like on a daily? I mean, that's not bad, right? Like from 93 cents to $1.90, that's 100% return in the span of the beginning of February, roughly, second week of February. Not absolutely horrible. I mean, is the downtrend broken? Let's zoom out here and see what we got going on. We'll head over to a higher time frame so we can eliminate some more of that noise. Has it broken? Well, the issue, in my opinion, is like, okay, we have this. Maybe you're fortunate enough to get another touch or a retest of that trend line. But if it's extremely weak, then it will just fail and probably break down a little bit more.
Guys, RBNE has been hanging out at 19s and 20s for a while now. Here we go. Yes, Joey. Boom. Into the high. Now, there was a liquidity grab that crossed one of my orders. We didn't get filled. Shout out to Randy. We were waiting at 28s. It passed 28s. Now, there's a seller, aggressive seller at 25. We're still holding here. Now, it did cross, but there was no liquidity for me to get filled there. It is a 230 high now. I was posted at 28. We didn't get the fill. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. But RBNE now over 100% into the quarter dollar. We got 93s. We're looking for the third of $1 a dare.
ARM spiking higher here. Thank you, Neil, for bringing this one to my attention. Their ARM Everywhere event kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern. I have a post that's pre-scheduled to go out on this event, like at any time now, so it'll give you guys some more details when that goes live on X. Again, it's scheduled at 12:55. ARM's event set to start at 1 p.m. Eastern. It will end at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be kind of about AI. And again, I looked on X, not seeing any comments from ARM yet. Could just be spiking in anticipation for the event. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adair. All right, continuing to watch here, looking for the move. So we didn't get the 28 print, but I got a 25 print for smaller share size. This is not the time for me to take it out. Okay, we got above that 220 area. We shook the sellers there. Let's see if the shorts still have the same conviction they do at 225 and 230 that they had at 220, because certainly they were keeping us down. Like what I would see is we'd come into 18, we'd come into 19, and then you'd see a wave of red come in on my time and sales. That's a new short position and or profit takers. Hard to know, but my estimation, likely short selling into the high. But I think we've got them on the ropes now. Let's see if we're able to work in possibly to that $0.50. We've got a great chart pattern. We haven't breached the 10 EMA on the 5 since we reclaimed it at 12.10. It is almost, it's about 5-1 right now. So let's see if we can continue up a little bit more here on RBNE. Quite frankly, aside from SATL, this is by far the best small cap gapper on the day. I would say SATL because unbroken to the freaking high side. Look at this on SATL. I should have been all over this. That was my mistake. 576 high. Keep your eye out on that one, but I'm going to keep my eye on RBNE, and we're sending you back up to Adair.
Here's the deal with ARM. I know I mentioned this ARM Everywhere event. Right ahead of that event, I'm seeing reports, and again, I have yet to see if this is confirmed or not, but ARM reportedly selling its own chips for the first time ever. It's looking to get some AI revenue. So again, ARM in a bid for AI revenue. Reportedly, you're going to be selling its own chips. That'll be its first time ever doing that. If and when I get more updates from ARM Everywhere, I'll keep you posted.
Thank you very much. Bovin is saying CRCD. I'm going to take off Swimmer, SW Swarmer, because it's just, well, guys, by the way, it's coming into VWAP here at $33, so watch out for that. That could be an interesting buy, but it's been basically an unbroken downtrend here on SWMR. Also, just before I look at the CRCD, that's the Circle ETF. I want to mention for the person who was talking about feed looks good. I want to really bring your attention to this unbroken lower high trend that you're going to have to be fighting if you get in a long. I'm negative on feed. It is by far my worst trade of the day. It's my biggest loser. Thankfully, it's outdone by my biggest winner. I'm still negative on the day, full disclosure, but I think we're going to probably be able to get into Positiveville here. Hopefully, if we can take out some of these area highs on RBNE. But guys, I'm 1 for 4. 3 negative names and 1 positive name, and I have a good shot of going green on the day. I really want to stress that. So it doesn't always have to be multiple good trades. You can have 1 good trade. Shout out to the book. We're going back to Adair.
I have more context here with this ARM story. So ARM is introducing these new CPUs, ARM-designed data center CPU called the ARM AGI CPU, and they're apparently developed with Meta as the lead partner. So ARM is in fact introducing these chips, and they are powered or partnered with here Meta. Back to you.
Thank you, Adair. Watching here, RBNE into 26, looking for the move into 29. We were selling at 25. I did see a quick flash into 27. Here it comes again, but the buying doesn't seem like it's done, at least for the moment. 27s, 28s just flashed on RBNE. The highest print we have on the day is 30s, but there was like no liquidity there. Back into 25s we go. So it looks like we're going to zig and zag at almost every level. The shorts are really not letting up here on RBNE. What's the float on this thing, man? Let's have a quick look over here. The float, at least the way I see it, 7 million shares, 6.9 million share float. That's if the information is accurate. It says it's accurate as of March 11th of this year, 6.9 million shares. 27s now, 28s. Let's see if we can get a bit higher. I'm waiting at 29s. No continuation. Selling at 28. We're going to have selling at almost every penny. So it seems. I'm not going to take it out here. Let's see if we can work up through that 30. I think, when we're at the highs, you can't really say that the longs are in trouble. Right? I think the shorts are in trouble here, but we're just not getting the kind of aggressive parabolic moves that we sometimes get through key technical areas on these names. A couple of other ones that I want to point out while we wait for this one to kind of manifest. Anna is looking like a monster double top here into 850 with most of the closing prints at around 830. The reason I'm telling you this is one reason. 2 reasons. 7 2/3 VWAP. If it bounces off there, you could get a scalp into 8 maybe. But for the shorts and those who love to short, that break of 7. If this loses 7, that would be losing the neck component of the M, of the double top, and that could be money. There goes Joey. RBNE into a new high a day in a 234. We're still holding. We're packing the patience on this one. We're into the third of a dollar now, and that's the official area high, 234. Can we get up into the $0.50 here on RBNE? Let's post. I'm going to go ahead now and post into the high, what's it called, 30s. Let's go ahead and wait at 39, see if we can get a little bit higher than the high of the day, but down to 29 we go. So there is selling, of course, at these areas. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we might be able to see half a dollar here, but obviously we'll have to take out some of these levels. Joey.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. So we're still sitting in this short. We're just drawing our basic trend lines. You can see that on the NASDAQ, we have those consistent lower highs right now. So the trend is currently down. There is a support level that was prior resistance, working in the favor of holding up right around the volume weighted average price. Here on Tesla, we're knocking on the door of the front end of this trend right now. But on the 5-minute time frame, you can see those consistent lower highs. So at what point are we going to get that breakdown and or break up? If we're on the backside of this trend, once again, and it decides to break, we see any form of an uptick in the volume, then that might give us a potential long trade. But I want to stick with the short just in case we do head a little bit lower and decide that we want to fill this essential pre-market void, this nice, strong, engulfing print. And we're starting to head lower, lower, lower. How low can we go? Get real low, that's for sure, Sharif. So crazy. Tesla, there it is, guys, starting to pick up a little bit momentum. Unfortunately, the same size. I think what I should have done is, no, it's not. I think I know what I should have done is just tried to get a little bit more higher at this uptick and then add substantially more, all right? But other than that, we're not going to complain with what we have. We were in at 1303s on our previous entry. We're now in at 02s. We're 10 cents. A little bit better of a risk to reward ratio, though, just due to the fact that I was only going to hold it to this pivot. But now we're starting to climb. And if we can break that 1290 mark, then I'm going to think that we can get some more downside movement there in TSLA as it's heading right towards a key support level. Okay, so now we can draw our basic support system, and that's going to be right at this 382 level. Why? Because we have multiple touches. The more touches the trend has, whether it be sideways, up or down, the more conviction we can have and the stronger that it can be utilized. So if that breaks and if it happens to collapse, then I think that we can see some more downside here in Tesla, considering we have almost a triple top right here, even though it's not at the high of the day. It's right into a supply zone of around 384, multiple attempts after multiple pullbacks as well too, and now we're starting to slide a little bit. Only issue is we just needed some more size on that position. Nice move. We're breaking through that previous pivot and now heading towards 1290. I think at this pace, if it does crack and you see a slight uptick in the volume, which we are currently seeing, right, considering that strong engulf, this strong print right here, extremely bearish, volume supporting that, now it's only a matter of time. The tape relatively weak, and you can see the bid slowly dropping as well. Now we got that that 1-to-1 exactly we're looking for, a little bit more, about a 1.3-to-1. I'm not going to take anything off until a 2-to-1, just so we can lock in a little bit more.
All right, man. 234 high here on RBNE. A bit of a candle of indecision. It feels like some aggressive profit taking because it's getting bought right back up. What I did really like about the price action here is remember how hard it was for us to clear 220, which was the previous area high, right? Multiple rejections. But what I do like are both of these candles, the 1255 and the 1 o'clock candle, come in, they test 220, they hold up to the T. And here we are again, 1 or 2 pennies off the high of the day. Now we're waiting. There it is. There's a new high a day in a 36. We're waiting at 39 here. There's a seller now at 35. It's up 114%. We've been shaking out the shorts at almost every penny. However, it has been a thick trade. Unusual for a 7 million share float, 6.9 to be exact, but there is a 36 seller again. I have a bias. We make it up to the $0.50. I think that if we do, you know, that probably put us in a good position. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to pack the patience as much as I can. I'm looking at getting out, I want to say, below that 220 area. Okay, that's the 220 area that we had a lot hard time clearing. It was an area resistance. Now it's support. If we lose it, I'm out. That's what we're going to look for there in terms of my trailing stop. But we got to go back up to the big desk with Adair.
Market pushing lower here. A couple different headlines to mention. Wall Street Journal reporting that the U.S. is ordering 3,000 82nd Airborne soldiers to the Middle East. I reported earlier that Jennifer Griffin, who is, of course, a Fox News correspondent, she already kind of mentioned this, but again, Wall Street Journal now reporting that the U.S. will be ordering 3,000 82nd Airborne soldiers to the Middle East. So it looks like there are going to be some boots on the ground here in the Middle East, hence this move lower here on the NASDAQ. We'll take a look at USO. We also, USO, of course, pushing to session highs. It's also worth noting we did get the 2-year note auction, high yield, 3.936% for that auction. So auction and USO news. Back to you.
It's pretty. It's so pretty.
Here we go. Into the high, 247. The half dollar is moments away. Thank goodness we held this one. Pack the patience. Seller at 47. 47's back in view. Let's see if we hit 48. Trade's over for me, Joey.
All right, man.
That's
Good
it.
stuff.
We're ending it there. And wow, that one took a while. 248, 249. Here comes the half dollar, the actual half dollar, up 125%. Very strong name on RBNE. Keep your eye out on this one. This one is all gas. No freaking, well, you see a couple of breaks there every now and again. You know, there's a seller, especially at that 220 level that made us a little bit annoyed. But that is a good long here on RBNE. I don't think this one's done yet, guys, especially if it takes out that half dollar decisively. This could be moving into 3. So be on the lookout. Be strategic about where you're picking this up. Keep your eye on the higher lows and the higher highs. Keep your eye also on that 220 shelf. That was a resistance shelf. It's now acted as support, at least for about 10 minutes. We'll see if that ends up holding. I appreciate you guys in the chat. We're going back to Adira.
Yeah, I have to clarify because I'm getting more clarification on this report. So again, Wall Street Journal reporting that 3,000 82nd Airborne unit soldiers will be ordered to go to the Middle East, but it's worth noting apparently the final decision hasn't been made yet, though the report also suggests that the written order is going to go out in a couple hours. So there will likely be a written order. The decision has not yet been made, but just the fear or concern that this decision could be made has led, of course, to a push higher in oil and a push lower in the NASDAQ. Back to you.
All right, yeah, man. So, I mean, there it is. We got that move lower, waiting for that 2-to-1. We almost got there, a couple pennies, and now we're starting to experience somewhat of a pullback. But a nice move. We broke through that support level, which I was talking about, and then you've seen the volume really start to uptick. So a nice little move to the downside. Now, what we need is that the market, or what we would like, is essentially that the pullback isn't too deep before we curl over, right? Is the market just going to absorb this? Is just another volatility spike to the downside? And right now, from what we're experiencing from the current price action, that seems to be the narrative. If the NASDAQ decides that it wants to have a consolidation and then take an additional leg lower, I believe it's going to take Tesla with it. Now, we have this neckline, but what we have to be extremely cautious about is how this 5-minute print is going to close. If it closes as a hammer, not the best for my short thesis, even though we're not sitting in a bad position right now. I'm going to be slightly greedy on this one and wait for a 2-to-1 because I do believe that the momentum is somewhat to the downside. But if it closes, then things can change real quick and you have to be prepared to act. And that was kind of essentially what happened to me this morning on IBIT. I was like, you know what? No, let's let it continuously climb, when the actual underlying is like, no, this is as high as we're going, and then we're going to look to sell off. But other than that, a nice re-engagement. This one essentially a break-even trade, small W, and this one really starting to work for us. So a nice 1.5 to 1 there, roughly, a little bit more, and then sure enough that. I haven't taken anything off. I'm waiting for 82s. I'm going to be patient to see if that really comes into play, and then that, and then we can really start to rock and roll on this trade. But it may not come in, right? It may not. Starting to form somewhat of a shelf. I like that. Pullback could be deep, so maybe we look at 1286 as a potential target right here on TSLA. But other than that, Bitcoin's still getting slacked. Surprise, surprise, down to 39.17. Couldn't hold up, couldn't break through the volume weighted average price, and now establishing a new low of the day as the volume is really starting to uptick there. Now, Cleggs, 264. Thank you for the €2. Okay, so about $4 or so. Polymarket, U.S. forces enter Iran by April 30th is 55% to the top side. So,
Did you hear how they're like thinking about doing this? Obviously, it's fluid at the moment, but they're thinking about kind of taking. I don't know if this is going to happen, obviously, but putting Marines at least in the area where the Strait of Hormuz is, because like it's basically a kill zone. It's a kill box. Let's pull up the map because I just want to show kind of what I mean by that. Let's go to Google Maps. See if I can show this what I mean here. All right, let's zoom out. North America. All right, let's move in here. So look at this. So when you come into this area, you're surrounded by like 3 sides, man. This side. Anybody passing through here is going to get clipped.
You're getting caught.
So what they're thinking about is like this area here, they need to protect this area. But like 5,000 is not going to cut it for
That's not good. You know how much that is?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's big, right? So I don't know what the plan is there. And then there's that other island that we were talking about, Kharak Island. That's where all the patrol is.
Yeah, the petroleum.
Yeah, right there. Right, look, that one's in the middle of nowhere. Look how close they are, though, to Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar.
I mean, on the like, it's close, but on the grand, like from that map, but on the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's
but like relatively speaking, you know, when you're flying F-15s, like that's like a few minutes.
Exactly. But it's like that scene from Dumb and Dumber where it's like, according to the map, we've only moved 2 inches.
All right, let's go to Adair. I think she's got news.
Yeah, I have an interesting update on Circle now. As I mentioned, one of the main reporters who was talking about this story on CRCL, which in case you missed it, the story on CRCL does involve the fact that or not the company, but rather the stablecoin space is reportedly going to be impacted by new drafting of the legislation, which would impact the way they can offer yields. Now, Eleanor Terrett, again, the reporter who basically broke this, she's weighing in and she actually said that this actually shouldn't be that much of a surprise to the market. We already knew there wasn't really going to be the yield on passive stablecoin balances. And she thinks that also part of this could be reports of a Tether audit playing a role in this CRCL drop. But basically, Eleanor Terrett saying, quote, "It's surprising to see the stock react this way, given how public this has been for months." Back to you.
Thanks, Charlie Taft. That's just how it goes. All right, guys. So we're waiting for this leg. We are knocking on the door of that 1290 mark, bouncing off it on multiple occasions. Let's just see if we break through that. But I like these down ticks as the NASDAQ is heading towards an additional key support level. So here's another system here, guys, right at 583 on the triple Qs. And now we're bouncing up, but uptick in volume, and it looks like we're going to break through that momentarily. With that being said, if Tesla decides to participate with this move lower, we're definitely going to fall into that 1282 mark, which we're prepared to take some off, all right? So let's just see if we get that momentum flush, an additional leg lower. We're only a couple pennies away, but we're going to try to diamond hands this to a specific target. And I think I'm going to take off half at that point, right? Because we're at a 2-to-1. We'll lock in a 1-to-1, and then we'll leave another R of unrealized gains. But first and foremost, we have to hit that target. Moving forward, let's see what we got going on. The banks were relatively strong today, which is good for JP Morgan, considering I really like this name. Downtrend. A lot of whipsaw moves, though, guys. Like you see, we had this trend. I mean, it's just a rough draft, roughly coming off of that previous pivot high. We can be a little bit more generous, but essentially it's just whipsaw move right back in. I think at some point what you want to do, and it's the same narrative on the Netflixes, on the Microsoft, the Googles. You want to wait for the trend to be broken and then sit on the backside of this trend, and that's essentially what I'm doing here on Bitcoin as well. Same with JPM. I think that this is like about a 10% pullback or so, 13% to be exact. I think that we can eventually start to recover in the banks. I always be a big fan of JP Morgan and Chase. Now, Carvana, how's it been doing on the daily? Oh, that's a pretty big bounce. Oh, that's eBay. What am I talking about? CBNA. Oh, yeah, short report. Once again, still down 40% after that was released, which was this day right here, January 26th. Massive volatility spike, and channel is strictly to the downside, so I don't see this thing recovering anytime soon. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. HIMS, nice pop-up off of the earnings report, and then after it's like, yeah, we don't really care about all of that. Or was it things cooling off with Novo? I think that was the case there. So, and then essentially now we're starting to head in. Be prepared for at least 50 to 60% of this gap to be filled, and then maybe you'll find somewhat of a recovery. Moving forward, everyone's favorite streaming platform, Netflix. Oh, sorry, what am I talking about? Aside from YouTube. Aside from YouTube.
I don't like it.
I know you don't like it. That's why I said it. Yeah, Sharif, whoa. Fabian told me, but buddy, I better remind you.
Well, it's right. It's on my screen, my guy. Oh,
No,
plug in.
Plug in.
Yeah.
All right. So there's Netflix, guys. We had that strong uptick, the trend line break, and then a move up to $100. We're now about 10% off of that strong move higher. So be prepared for a little bit more downside here in Netflix before any form of continuation.
No, I'm talking Fabian. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I want to see what you got going on.
This is the ship traffic, Joey, on the Strait of Hormuz. Fabian just sent me this. So look at the area over here where the crossing is. Nary a shit, man. And then you can kind of look to see which ones are actually hanging out there. There's a few close to Iran, obviously, but like there's usually a lot in here, man.
Going through there.
Yeah, and there's really nothing there at the moment. This is kind of the ship traffic. We're going to zoom in a little bit. Can you see more information on the ship? Oh, snap.
Oh,
you can actually click.
That's that one.
Can you see the country of origination?
LNG, look at natural gas Jamal.
Yeah, but where is it, like, what is it flagged, right? Vessel details, okay. Like, what's the Oman? No, currently in the Oman Gulf, but like what country? Under the flag of Japan.
Yeah, Japan.
Interesting. It's LNG Jamal, LNG tanker, and is sailing under the flag of Japan. Her length 290 meters, width 46. This is interesting stuff, man. Thanks for this, Fabian. I'm actually gonna look at this after. This is interesting stuff. Thanks for that. I do appreciate it. Let's have a look at, whoa. RBNE's taking a bit of a turn here, guys. Into the 10 EMA. It still hasn't breached prior bar low, but the 110 candle did breach that 105 candle. The 105 candle is the one that actually took out the $0.5. But here we are in the 115 candle, and we're still above the low of the 110 candle. So let's keep an eye out on that. Separately, just before we start the news, I want to look at RBNE here because I think that, even though we did reject the $0.5 initially, we could end up taking it out, especially if we start holding trend again. Moreover, we're still above the 10 EMA, so that is one thing. The other thing I want to point you guys to is Swarmer. This was absolutely unbroken in terms of lower highs. It has now kind of changed its tune. 33.50, it found support. Now it's knocking on 35. This is the biggest up move we've had on the day since we topping tailed at 11.10. So SWMR still up 32%. It could be changing here. If it clears 35, I think we may have something. Let's keep an eye out on that. For now, though, we're going back up to Adara.
Yeah, I just really quickly want to mention this again because I know this headline has been circulating quite a lot. That move that we had up in USO around 1 p.m. coinciding with a move down in the market did come as we got reports from the Wall Street Journal that they were basically going to be getting 3,000 airborne members of the 82nd unit sent out to the Middle East. Now, more specification here from Axios saying that apparently the command element of that 82nd Airborne Division has been directed by the Pentagon to deploy to the Middle East. Now, apparently, this will also be occurring alongside the deployment of an infantry brigade consisting of several thousand troops. So it does look like strong boots on the ground action happening here in the Middle East. Now, the Wall Street Journal report also said the written order could come out as soon as today, but that nothing had been finalized yet. So just a couple more details. I do want to mention this story once again before I send you back to the guys.
Thank you very much for that. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, we took some off at 84 there. We'll catch that 84, Phil. I mean, what is that? Am I going to hold on for a couple more pennies just in case? So I took half off there. Printing 83 is now on the bid. Not too bad of a look. A nice solid hold considering we were only risking up to there, that previous pivot, and then we weighed all the way down to roughly, it was like a 1.8 to 1. So we'll hold sitting on half of this position. Once again, just to start, I feel about 10% of my daily risk on this trade on both of these. So nothing substantial, to be honest with you.
All right, I want to point out not Anna, but look, Anna is still holding up. I want to say it's got back above 8, but I did very poorly on Anna, and I don't really want to trade it anymore. And it has a tendency to wick up and wick down, then resume trend. That's difficult to deal with unless you're going to give it a very wide stop. But Bovin keeps wanting me to talk about PAVS. And I don't disagree, Bovin. I was waiting for this one, though. I'm negative on PAVS as well. Guys, I am 1 for 4 today, but my biggest winner, bigger than my biggest losers, were still marginally negative on the day. Hopefully we'll be able to get out of it. But what I was looking for here, Bovin, and this is why I got in on PAVS, is you had this unbroken downtrend. You popped off the volume-weighted average price. It looked like you were going to try to make a move back into 70, and then you got the lower high dance. And that's what made me get the hell out of that. As soon as this candle here, the 1150 candle breached the low of the 1145 candle, I got out of Dodge, and I was right to do so, because look, it continued bleeding into that 56 penny area. So it's still up 100 something percent there, 105%, Bovin. I don't want to crap on PAVS, but I had difficulty determining the trend. Separately, I want to bring your attention to feed. Another one that I'm negative on, quite frankly. But here's the deal. This one is breaking that lower high trend. And if feed, I think, gets above 235 on a closing basis, this one could try to make it another attempt at 250, maybe even take out that high of the day. But I don't know. It seems like a bit of a choppy trade on feed. So I'm not gung-ho about it. And then last but not least, before we start the news, we're super late today on the news, but that's okay. RBNE is losing trend. It is in the 10 EMA now on the 5, the 10 exponential moving average on the 5. If RBNE loses 220, I think we head probably back into 2, maybe even 190 at VWAP. Remember how staunchy those sellers were at 220 on RBNE, and we couldn't shake them for like a while? Well, if we lose that level, that could be trouble. Keep your eye out on that. But Swarmer, SWMR is making a move, guys. This is very obvious here. This is a downtrend break. It is at 35. It's trying to take out 35.50. It found a good amount of support at 33 and a third. Here it is at 35.50, Joey. Swarmer is moving up, guys. And here it is, 38.60 high a day. It's at that $0.50. Possible shelf here between 35.5 to 36, but maybe I'm just, looking for reasons not to trade it, so to speak. But SWMR is making a move here, and it could see 38.60 if it really catches a bid, up 35%, 36 and 2/3, same difference, but that is the move. All right, never blame the market, says Hangry Wife. I do agree. I do agree with that. How's the gym, Katina, man? Kettlebells. What? Give me a dab. Tina Man's not messing around at all. Smashed kettlebells today. So that's how'd you like them, by the way? Different weight distribution, though. There you go. My man was doing kettlebell swings.
Yo, oh, okay. All right.
That's what I want to hear, man.
Get that shoulder workout in there.
Those are
Yeah,
excellent.
that's good,
Katina, man, you're going to notice with kettlebells, too, when you hold them, like if you hold them like a dumbbell, the weight pulls to the outside, which is totally different because when you're holding the regular dumbbell, the weight's just pushing down on your palm, right? The other one's pulling you from the outside, so it's good weight distribution. Exactly.
But you don't need to lift heavy to get a pump in, man.
No, you don't.
I don't know.
No, I think it's actually kind of amateurish.
So
to
you'd
be
be like,
trying to lift heavy all the time.
Dude, I was never.
contraction
Yeah,
based,
exactly.
not weight-based.
Exactly.
I totally agree.
Exactly.
Bovin, VCX. Shout out to my man Bovin. All right, Joey.
Yeah.
We got to start the news because we're a little late to the party today, okay?
Oh.
So we're going to put this on the last screen so that we don't miss any of these possible trades here. Let's start by talking about more Middle Eastern belligerencies. This time it affects, of course, the Mag 7. We're talking about Amazon, which is down 1.5% on the day. They confirmed that its AWS center in Bahrain was disrupted due to ongoing Middle East conflict. The disruption was tied, according to the company, to a drone activity as well as the regional instability. It marks the second AWS-related disruption in a month. They're actively migrating some customers to alternate regions. And I was saying this on the morning with Adara. Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Google, they've all been laying down these deep sea fiber optic cables for years and years for redundancy purposes. And, it looks like maybe some of those investments are paying off because those aren't cheap. Amazon did not disclose the full extent of the damage or expected recovery timeline. Earlier reports, though, Joey, indicated there was power loss as well as structural damages to the Bahrain center. The damage included disrupted power delivery, fire suppression activation, and infrastructure stress. AWS confirmed that physical infrastructure was directly impacted by drone strikes. So drones rearing their ugly head again. What do you think about this headline?
Yeah, and we talked about this before, Sharif. It's just that not only is there that energy aspect in which you could be potential targets, but these data centers can be a potential new target as well, too. Something that we didn't see so often, obviously, considering. But, I mean, I'm not going to say it's like fantastic or anything along those lines, but aside from just going from civilian, hey, we're going to go after your infrastructure, I think that's kind of the new nature of the war, of these battles, I guess I can say, Sharif, is like, hey, we're going to go after the infrastructure, whether it be your energy or some of these data centers where you store and collect data.
Yeah, it's like they're expanding what can be hit.
What potential targets you have,
quite
essentially.
frankly,
so
I'm not surprised by that, to be honest with you. Let's talk about Microsoft and OpenAI. Oh boy, this relationship is getting interesting. So OpenAI warned their investors that its relationship with Microsoft is representing or represents, according to the company, a material business risk. Microsoft currently provides a significant portion of OpenAI's funding as well as compute infrastructure vis-a-vis Azure. OpenAI explicitly stated, though, that any change or termination to the partnership could materially impact its business, its financial conditions, and the growth outlook. Let's get to that part in a second, but I just want to remind you that OpenAI is possibly getting ready for an IPO later this year. And they recently raised about $110 billion in funding, and an additional $10 billion is in progress. The $110 billion included the likes of Amazon, NVIDIA, SoftBank. They're preparing for an IPO, as I mentioned, potentially early this year. Current valuation, we don't know what the IPO valuation is going to be. Current valuation, though, is $730 billion as of the last funding round. Despite their partnership, though, and how long it's been going on and all the money that Microsoft's given OpenAI, they are increasingly competing in the same space. Microsoft's already listed OpenAI as a direct competitor. And OpenAI is also diversifying cloud providers, as I mentioned. They picked up AWS, Oracle, Google, and we also saw that Microsoft is examining OpenAI's relationship with AWS to see if it breaches the terms of service that OpenAI and Microsoft have. That was a story we reported to you guys on, I think, yesterday or Friday. So, Joey, this relationship has been getting a little contentious as of late. You've tried to see both leaders kind of tamping down some of the tensions, try to talk it down, but when there's smoke, there's fire, so to speak.
I think so. I wonder what it could be. Is it the fact that Sam Altman and company are doing these continuous funding rounds? It's funny because it'd be fantastic to be a fly on the wall within some of these conversations. What's causing some of this tension? But did you see, like we talked about this before, but essentially what we have here is that Microsoft invested $13 billion in OpenAI, which is 27% roughly of the diluted stake, but now it's valued at $135 billion. So that's 10x almost there, Sharif, of your investment. And this thing hasn't even gone public yet. And wasn't it supposed to structurally change if Sam Altman were to achieve Agentic AI, what's that next level of AGI, right? So, I mean, I don't really understand what's going on. Am I a big fan of Altman? No, I have a really hard time. I think it's a fantastic tool, but outside of the software, I need to see a little bit more transitioned into hardware. Is that what the next step is in OpenAI? How are they going to monetize this thing? Valued at $1 trillion almost roughly at one point. It's a really tough look. I don't like how many funding rounds Sam Altman's doing. I've never seen anything along those lines, but again, I can't really speak too much upon that.
Guys, Microsoft's slice is 27%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you just said it.
Yeah.
So you know what that would be?
What?
226
billion.
226.8 billion.
Yeah.
So it's never this clean, obviously.
Yeah.
But Microsoft's market cap currently is 2.76 billion. Damn, man, Microsoft's a lot off the top.
That's what I have here. So the diluted stake was around at the for-profit side of 135 billion. You have 226.
Well, that's just we never really know.
Give or take 113 billion.
Exactly. But yeah, actually, that's a really interesting one there. So I think, if you're from Microsoft, you want them to have a great IPO, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
Because, that 226 could be a little bit more. I wonder if they're going to be blacked out as well from selling during the IPO period, probably.
For how long?
Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, how long do you think the blackout period would standard would be? 6 months?
I have no idea. Yeah. something like that. Feed is making a move, says T2 Trades. Yeah, I saw feed, but you know, look, topping tail. Be careful with this one, guys. This one was super choppy, but I think if it can hold above these levels, and it might be good. But as you can see, look, it pops off, drops right back down. Be careful for the loss of the 10 EMA. It's been holding it quite well, but feed could be going here. So thank you very much, T2 Trades, for pointing that out. Keep your eye on that one. Let's go on to the next story. Let's talk a little oil today. So where's the USO at right now? It's up 4.69%. So there's been obviously a lot of headlines since this article was written, a lot. And Adara's brought most of them to us. The prior session saw, though, a drop of about 11% in Brent oil. The bounce suggests buyers are stepping back after an overreaction. Today, USO is up 4.5%, as I mentioned. A little bit off there. President Trump yesterday claimed that talks were productive between the U.S. and Iran, and a pause in military strikes against their energy infrastructure. I guess till Friday. He gave it to 5 days. It was previously 48 hours from Saturday evening. However, Iran denied the negotiations are taking place, casting doubt, of course, on the de-escalation narrative. Iran signaled it may allow selective transit, but uncertainty remains. We heard about a Thai ship getting through today, and we just looked at the marine traffic there on the Strait of Hormuz. Doesn't look like there's too much in the way of marine traffic. Bottom line, though, Joey, even partial disruption keeps a structural bid under oil prices. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I just think with the whole conflict, it's going to take significantly longer than what we're anticipating, especially once you get boots on the ground. If that escalates on that specific front, then it's going to take way, way longer. When did Russia invade Ukraine? Was it
2022, February.
Right? So that's already been going on for 4 years. Okay, something that you didn't think was going to last that long. These battles just linger on. Will it cool down at some point? I think so. But when you have an opponent who's not willing to back down, it just makes the process so much longer. And with that being said, oil is going to be affected. It's just one of the situations that's going to occur, unfortunately, is that this is some of the repercussions that you're going to have a heightened increase, and the oil trades are going to be extremely popular until you have an extreme cooling down in the conflict.
All right, Swarmer is going, guys. So the breakout right now is recovering. It's a very clean hold off the volume weighted average price. Didn't actually quite make it down there into 33.5. Here's 36. The high of the day is 38.60. I would want to point out, though, that no closing prints above 37 1/3 / 37 1/2, despite the wick up into 38.60. So SWMR breaking the trend, but big move up. Love this one. Keep your eye out on that. Oh, please hit the money button for Sean. Get it, Katina Man. Shout out to KC526. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. What are you trading there, Katina Man? Katina Man is trading Tesla. So Joey's in Tesla as well. Are you guys both short?
He's long.
The Katina Man is long, 380.50. 380.80. Shout out to the Katina Man. Great trade, brother. Hope you print up several storms on that side. All right, let's talk a little Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is trading at 69,169. It's down over 2% on my watch list. ETH also down 1.9, trading at $2,112. This morning, though, it was trading a bit higher. But we've also seen this tighter consolidation range that we've been going through for a while, 68,000 as support, 72-ish as resistance. But that 70,000 level is acting as a key pivot, with buyers consistently stepping in on dips. Let's see if this day brings us back above 70, because we're about to lose 69 right now. If you look at some of the technicals, strong support sits around between 68 to 70. Demand's really repeatedly stepped in at that area. Resistance does remain, though, Joey, at the higher end, 74, 75. Prior breakouts have all failed that level. Bitcoin's sideways movement is being driven by what analysts are saying are macro uncertainty, including geopolitical tensions, interest rates, possibly staying higher for longer, and then higher inflation expectations. Now, with energy costs soaring. Central bank policy, though, vis-a-vis interest rates, does remain a key variable influencing crypto flows, and growing discussion around Bitcoin as a reserve asset is kind of boosting the long-term credibility. And we've kind of been seeing, at least locally, and you never really want to say this is a long-term thing, but you feel maybe that at least gold and silver, you know, people have been hitting a bit of a pause on them lately.
Yeah, I mean, as for Bitcoin, I love it, but I don't know. It's really tough for me to say how I mean, I'm in a mixed relationship with this thing right now, to be honest with you, Sharif. Long term, I think it might go one way. It depends if they're willing to accept it more. Is this going to be the bottom? I have no idea, nor am I going to try and tell when it's going to be the bottom. We were talking about this not too long ago, just the fact that it's like, hey, you have this curl over and this uptick, and then it takes that additional leg lower. Now, if you ask me, these two setups look very identical, right? Like, I would just have that hunch that for some reason, I think it should be a little bit stronger than what it has been of late. With that being said, maybe you get a break below 60. If you have some more news that's not going to work with it. It's just a really tough asset to hold right now, and for long periods of time, it's dead money, in my opinion, right? From November all the way to January, right, it's not doing anything. Same thing now from February to March, we're not doing too much. Look at this consolidation. This is 8 months. March all the way to November, once again, not doing very much. And it's just like, what are we going to do? Yeah, you have these big moves, but are you willing to sit in them for long periods of time to experience them? I think that's kind of been the narrative ever since the IBIT IPO, and it's done that on multiple occasions. I mean, you have the multi-month consolidation here from May to July, multi-month consolidation from November to January, leg down, and then now we're going from February to March. Okay, so just be prepared to sit in longer term. You're not going to get what you had before, where you're just steady legs up only a couple of weeks or a couple of days, and then you make those legs higher. That hasn't been the narrative since the IPO of IBIT, which was right in around this neck of the woods, March of 2024.
All right, Adara, what's your take?
I only want to talk about Circle right now because CRCL, of course, is almost at the lows. It just keeps dropping. Now, I mentioned this a couple times. I think it bears repeating. We kept looking for a story, and Circle actually had a positive one involving an expansion into Africa with a company that is part of a company that NVIDIA invested in. So, like, third-hand NVIDIA catalyst, right? But no, the reason CRCL is dropping is because, like, late last night after 11 p.m., we had Eleanor Terrett, noted crypto podcaster and journalist. She basically posted, to summarize what is a very in-depth post you definitely should be checking out on her X if you kind of want the full picture, but she basically said that, hey, looks like from the draft legislation of these stablecoin bills and stablecoin legislation, looks like they are not going to be wanting there to be any yields allowed, and if there are any other kind of rewards, it has to be very clear that it's not functioning as interest. So they're really trying to, I guess, make the distinction between stablecoins and traditional banking products. Now, it's also interesting because Eleanor Terrett weighed in on X like 20 minutes ago when she said, I don't even know why the market is, or why Circle, the stock, is dropping so much in this story. She said, you know, I mean, we already kind of knew this. This was stuff that we already knew. So she's shocked the market is pricing in as badly as it is. Maybe that means we bounce at some point. But either way, Eleanor Terra reports a story that it sounds like crypto industry insiders were already kind of aware of. CRCL drops. Let's see if it stays this week for an extended period of time, especially after that massive rally we had recently on this.
Yes, absolutely. And anybody who wants to read that post, there it is. You can go over and check it out, or you can screenshot it, have a read there. Interesting take. We'll keep an eye out on that. Let's go on to the next story. Estée Lauder, and I don't forget how to say this, Puig, or how, I don't forget how to say it anyway, sparks volatility and concerns. So Estée Lauder confirmed it is in the early discussions with Puig regarding a potential merger. Shares for Puig were up about 15% of the news. Estée Lauder, though, let's see where EL is at right now. Still down. Wow, they're at the day's lows. Down 10.5, and its SSR showed, you know, a muted reaction. It did recover slightly in the pre-market, but that was a 7% or about 15% drop yesterday. and another 10% today. Let's just take a quick look here on the 5-minute chart. So from yesterday's high, I'm talking about that, let's say 11 o'clock high to the low this morning, this company's lost almost 23% of its value within 2 days on this headline. No financial terms have been disclosed for the merger and no final decision has been made. A combination would create, though, what people are calling a global beauty powerhouse, which is going to consolidate brands like Tom Ford Beauty, Carolina Herrera, and Clinique. This Puig company brings strong growth momentum post-IPO. We'll get to that in a second. And Estée Lauder is seeking growth revitalization, hence the acquisition. The deal could provide scale, brand diversification, cross-selling opportunities as well across global markets. Now, they've delivered, Puig that is, has delivered steady sales since its IPO in 2024. It has exposure to higher margin fragrances and luxury segments, but investors are viewing Puig as a growth asset being acquired by a company, a very, very mature company, struggling. They're calling it the struggling incumbent. Analysts are also flagging the large consumer mergers often face investor pushback, which is kind of what we're seeing here. Concerns center around integration, execution risks, potential distraction as well from the turnaround efforts. Deutsche Bank also chimed in. They said the price action on Estée kind of reflects the clear market apprehension. Citibank, they estimate potential 5% sales synergies and possible double-digit EPS growth, but that remains theoretical. So Citi taking a more positive view of this, but you know, as we just showed here, almost 23% within 2 days.
Yeah, and I think it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. One thing from a positive note, it'll make it more competitive with one of their larger, I guess I wouldn't call it adversary, but someone here they're competing with is essentially L'Oreal, so they'd get the Jean-Paul Gaultier brand as well if they do acquire that Puig brand. So, but other than that, Estée Lauder, we'll take a look at the technicals. Oh, we got that break up into 80s here on Tesla. It's now starting to pull back. Maybe we can be a little bit more patient and take some more off, considering I just mentioned we took half. Should have been prepared to take it off at 81s. We didn't, so we'll do that now. One more small tick lower, and then we're going to piece a little bit out. But let's pull up EL's technicals and see what we got going on that front.
Yeah, immediately you can see
yeah,
what the trend
down.
is.
But Puig is up like 13% or something along those lines, it said.
It was actually looking pretty decent.
I mean, that's not horrible, right? Like, ELF has been performing pretty good, but it's just this waterfall slide, essentially, from that 120. That's a hefty haircut right there, 40%. 40%
right?
of the company. That's 40%. So from April, around not too far from this time, so in a year span.
So annoying.
You get 150%, right? That's not horrible. There goes Tesla. Straight to the downside. We'll take a little bit more off. But ELF, we'll take a look at some of ELF and see how it's performing. It's slid. Ooh.
But a bit of a range there, no?
Yeah, a bit of a range. What was the one that was performing really?
Alta?
Alta, exactly. This was performing relatively well, but took a massive slide.
There it is, man. They're all getting clipped.
They're all getting clipped. Yeah. And I mean, we were talking about Ulta Beauty not too long ago, looking to not really give that many discounts out and just stick with kind of the higher end consumers. People are looking for bargains. And we also mentioned, hey, it's like, what are you willing to do? Give up some of your customers just to stick with the higher end consumer and hold on to those margins. And that seems to be the narrative here.
I want to shout out Adrian Petrus on TikTok. Thank you very much, brother, for the, he sent the club cheers. I gotta get acquainted with how people super chat and stuff on TikTok, but thank you very much. We do appreciate that. We appreciate all our viewers, guys. Kick, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, we're on it all. So whatever platform your heart so desires, we're likely on it. Let's talk a little Broadcom. Look, it's not really a Broadcom story. This is mostly for supply chain bottlenecks for advanced AI chips. They warned, Broadcom that is, warned that AI-driven demand is pushing the semiconductor supply chain to its limits. Taiwan Semiconductor is now emerging as a critical bottleneck with production capacity nearing maximum utilization. If you believe what Broadcom has to say, they noted that TSMC's capacity is no longer, quote, infinite, marking a shift from prior assumptions of scalable supply. TSMC is expected to increase their capacity into next year. year. The current limitations, though, are expected to persist at least through the end of this year. The bottleneck is beginning to kind of show, or slow, I should say, AI-related hardware scaling. Shortages are expanding beyond just chips and semiconductors into other parts of the supply chain as well, like lasers and optical components. We've been talking a lot about photonics, LITE. I gave you guys this one. It's up another 7.86, and it's about to take out $800. LITE has been rocketing up lately. I've been trying to tell you guys. Printed circuit boards as well, PCBs also in short supply. Lead times as well, Joey, for some components are now stretching as long as 6 months, with companies increasingly locking in LTAs, long-term agreements, to number one, be able to get their hands on the components. Number two, try to get them at a reasonable price. We've been talking about how Apple has been using long-term agreements for some of their sourcing for RAM, because RAM is obviously rocketing up in price, and that's put a bit of a damper on the cell phone market. So that is a bit of an issue that we have to come to grips with, at least in the short term. TSMC, Broadcom, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, so we know that they're going to be building a fab in the States as well. So I mean,
Yes.
It could be maxed out right now, but to meet that demand, they're starting that build out, and that's what the investment here, I guess, in the United States is essentially for, is so that you can meet the demands and the insane amount of demand, obviously coming from NVDA and AMD. For the quality for those, what is it? The 2 nanometer chips. I think they're going after the TSM. That's the hottest one right now. So I mean, right now it may be maxed out, but they are building these fabs to kind of meet that demand, and essentially carry on their merry way and hopefully meet those obligations that they signed multiple deals with across the board with the 2 largest competitors.
So they got the fab under construction in Arizona. Part of it is already ready, but there's, I believe, like another 200 some odd acres that they're looking at building out. So the Arizona fab stretched, but it's by no means at its capacity, because they're looking to expand it a bit more. But when you read about what Taiwan Semi does and doesn't do in the United States, there's no 2 nanometer production in the US. That's all in Taiwan. And most of the most advanced chips are all made still in Taiwan. So that obviously creates supply chain risks with the whole China thing. We don't need to get into that now. Let's go on to the next story. Oracle pushes deeper into AI agents. Analysts see possible cloud upside. Let's talk about it. Oracle introduced Fusion Agentic applications. They're targeting enterprise workflows by AI agents, specifically with this product release. These applications are designed to be autonomous, proactive, and reasoning-based, kind of moving beyond the simple automation of Agents 1.0, let's call it. It's built on the Oracle Fusion Cloud, which is a kind of a SaaS product that they have. It enables real-time decision-making across enterprise processes. That seems to be where a lot of the money's being made, and we kind of saw how Claude really focused on enterprise and OpenAI focused on consumer. Now you see OpenAI backtracking a little bit as enterprise, obviously higher margins, B2B. The platform integrates deeply with enterprise data with permissions, APIs, workflows. It enables secure execution, according to the company, supports transactional systems natively, which allow these AI agents to take direct action, not just kind of generate insights, but to actually produce work. Bank of America. They also had something to say today about Oracle. They reinstated coverage with a buy rating and a $200 price target. That assumes about a 30% upside from yesterday's closing print. The analysts at Bank of America see accelerating AI infrastructure demand as a major growth driver, especially for their cloud business. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Bank of America wants to see the following. They still see the following risks. One, they got to deliver sufficient cloud capacity. We know that they're trying to raise money and all sorts of debt in order to build out new data centers. That's one. Two, they've got to be able to convert all the RPOs, the remaining performance obligations, into actual realized revenues. It's one thing for a company to tell you, we want more of your cloud infrastructure. It's another thing for them to pay up once you got the money in hand. A lot better. Last but not least, Joey, scale capital-intensive infrastructure efficiently. This stuff's getting super expensive with costs going through the roof. It's going to be incumbent upon them to kind of keep costs down.
Yeah, I think that's what the street was really worried about. It's just them not having necessarily the infrastructure to meet those obligations. But things slightly took a little bit of a turn for a change on the last earnings report. Essentially, is what I'm getting at. Is that I think with Oracle, there's something that we're not really taking into consideration is that, yeah, they have those massive deals with OpenAI and some of the other agentic LLMs, is that the TikTok deal. I think that's been swept under the rug. They're part of that, and I think that can be a massive revenue stream for this company and can help them also meet some of their current obligations with the OpenAI, who is their largest customer.
All right, Adara, we know you've got some thoughts here. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I really honestly debated not even weighing in on this because I know people are tired of hearing me yap about Oracle, which is why I'm going to try to keep it brief. I did want to show my fun new infographic out. It shows Tal Liani, the BofA securities analyst behind these analyst notes today, and a look at the price targets and ratings for Microsoft, Oracle, CoreWeave, and Nebius. So I can, I can bring sunshine and light too, but let's talk about Oracle because that's always going to be a little less sunshiny for me. I think one thing that Joe wanted to say that I'm actually going to hop on here about the TikTok deal. I don't think people are forgetting about the TikTok deal. I just don't think they care all that much. I'm going to be really real. Like it's not like it's really impacted the stock price in a salient way. Like when it was first kind of announced, it might spike, but I just don't think that this is something that the market cares about that much. Is that TikTok deal? I don't think it's being forgotten. I just think it's been priced in and the market has kind of shrugged. Now, with regards to this analyst note, I have no issue with this analyst note. I don't think there's anything wrong with Oracle getting positive analyst notes because it is still weighing in the fact that we have massive RPO issues. I joked in the chat, this company's new name should be RPO Oracle because I feel like we're so heavy on RPO and so light on actual revenue. I mean, last quarter, one thing that did change, Joe, just not to make fun, pick on you, but just because you just mentioned it, one thing that changed last quarter, they actually beat revenue for the first time this fiscal year. So I'll give them a pat on the back for that. I think this analyst note is realistic, and check out this infographic on X at TTV Research, and shout out to #RP Oracle.
I had to laugh there. All right, guys, make sure to get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day. I always forget to do this. You guys do a really good job of it anyway. Tesla's got 146 votes, by far the leader right now. You got Katina Man in it. You got Joey and TSLL, so it makes sense. Everybody's got an eye today on Tesla. They're down 0.25% though. RBNE taking second place here with 109 votes, but barely out-dueling Palantir. That's got 107. So get into the chat. Anna just made a high a day, guys. 862, but true to Anna form, coming off those highs by a substantial amount. Looks like it's losing 850. So get into the chat now, guys. Vote for your favorite tickers every day. And yeah, you guys do a good job anyway, but I just wanted to remind you guys. And I also wanted to point out that LITE made all-time highs today. So great look. This is a company I've been pounding the table on for a while. 803 all-time highs. And now it's below 8 right now, and it has attempted to take out 8 before. But this is a company that I think is very much in vogue, with photonics being kind of a thing. But always, always, always look at the technicals and do your own research. Never or just take anything for granted. I don't know where the hell my. Give me a sec here, Joey. You want to take over for a second?
Yeah,
I kind of lost my...
We took a little bit more off there on the TSLL short. There was some there at 77s. I didn't want to take that just yet. There's something going on in the market. There is a volatility spike right now. So let's see what that is. Volume across the board really stepping in. Inverted right here, inverted. So let's see if something if we get something. There it is. Adara, what do you got?
What I have here is the story on this spike. Axios reporting that the U.S., with a group of regional mediators, are discussing the possibility of holding high-level peace talks with Iran as soon as Thursday. So again, Axios reporting that the U.S., along with a group of regional mediators, which according to prior reports from yesterday could potentially include Pakistan, they're discussing the possibility of holding high-level peace talks. Now, if you're thinking this headline is kind of hand-wavy, it certainly is, discussing the possibility as early as, but yeah, it looks like, long story short, we could be getting some peace talks with Iran and the U.S. by Thursday, 2 days from now. Back to you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll keep you guys apprised of that, of course. Let's talk about CoreWeave getting a bullish call with AI infrastructure demand surging. So they received a buy rating from Bank of America with a $100 price target that implied about a 22% upside from the closing print yesterday, which was about 82 bucks. CoreWeave is targeting, according to the company's reports, about $79 billion in AI infrastructure as a service. So not software as a service, but infrastructure as a service. looking to expand that business. Growth is driven by, of course, explosive AI compute demand, as well as agentic AI workloads requiring persistent infrastructure upgrades. Who is that? Bank of America sees them as a preferred infrastructure player, especially for next-gen AI deployments. They have a direct relationship, of course, with NVIDIA, who's an investor, so stands to reason they probably get their hands on the latest chips, earlier on, maybe than some of their competitors. Supply constraints, though, is supporting pricing power, according to BofA. AI infrastructure demand continues to outstrip supply, with the Bank of America does not expect this imbalance to normalize before 2029, so at least a 2 to 3 year runway. They say high valuation, though, does leave the company with limited room for margin, limited margin for execution errors. Excuse me, I'm getting tired. Business is tied to continued AI spending momentum, but just anecdotally, when we reported last time about their earnings, they did come out and say, they gave us different segments. They're like, okay, our A800, which is like a 2022 chip, I think, is sold out 6 months into the future, which rented out, 6 months, and they were charging 125% to use the A800 than they were initially when that chip came out. So the reason I mention that is because one of the theses by Michael Burry was these chips don't have a 4 to 5 year lifespan, that they're likely 2-3 years max, and you've got to replace them. If that's the case, the CapEx has to be factored in because you're going to have to keep replacing these. At least for the moment, maybe he's right in the future, but at least for the moment, that hasn't quite happened yet. And you're seeing it from companies, these neocloud companies like Nebius and CoreWeave, reporting that they've got demand up the yin-yang, even for older chips. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I think that was one of the issues, Sharif, is the lifespan. I like that you mentioned that. But this stock, and another issue I think with CoreWeave too is everybody was really worried about the cyclical revenue, like just kind of that continuous turnaround between NVDA, CoreWeave, OpenAI. It's just like we just have this circle essentially going on. This name is still down 57%, and I think it's important that we need to watch this and see how the margin was. I know that was another issue as well, as just the margins within CoreWeave, relatively cool. So, I mean, 125%, you're gonna see an increase in that one. And if you can hold on to these chips for longer times, then that will help increase the margin as well too. Instead of having to continuously recycle, it's like first in, first out. The older ones, you have to buy new ones. And then with that being said, it's gonna cost a lot of money, CapEx there, and a lower margin on the actual product. All right. Just more reports coming out about President Trump and his team exploring peace talks. So I see everybody's talking about the market action right now. It probably has something to do with this, guys. Adair just reported what Axios said about that a group of regional mediators trying to set up high-level peace talks with Iran as soon as Thursday. They're still waiting for Tehran's response to Iran. The report says Washington shared a 15-point plan with Israel and claimed Iran had accepted parts of it, though Israeli officials remain skeptical and are still planning for another 2 to 3 weeks of war. Then above that, we got lately, White House spokesperson said the president and his team are exploring the possibility of reaching a diplomatic solution, replying to this Al Jazeera breaking news headline, which says urgent. White House spokesperson in response to an Al Jazeera question, the president and his team are exploring the possibility of reaching a diplomatic solution. So that's what's happening right now, guys. Obviously, we'll get more information to you as we have it, but very much a developing story. I think we're going to end it here because I think we've got about another minute or so. I wanted to cover Apollo because Apollo has been capping withdrawals as the private credit pressure continues to build. They're basically allowing you to receive only 45% of the capital you're requested to remove. That's about $730 million total that they've received. Redemption request reached about 11.2% of shares. That's more than double the 5% of the quarterly cap allowed by the fund. This remains to be it seems to be a persistent problem, but I want to mention competitors like Blackstone, they've relaxed withdrawal limits. Apollo has not. They've kind of been holding firm on that 5% redemption cap, unlike peers who have loosened it, as I mentioned. So something to watch out for there if you're involved in that. Yeah, I see more stuff coming out there from the White House. So we could have some more market volatility with oil. Looks like the Qs were trying to make a move as well, Joey.
Yep.
Thoughts here as we run down the show?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to sit in this position, see what's going on. I mean, we're still relatively headline sensitive with everything that's going on. But I think just as time passes, every statement is taken a little less serious until it gets extremely serious or it just eventually fades away. I told you the market is like, always looking for that shiny new toy. So we'll be prepared for eventually, may not be tomorrow, may not be next week, may not be next month, but oil eventually will be out of vogue and there'll be something else that they're looking at. Sorry.
Just trying to get in a yawn there. You ended it
on the yawn. I know I got that
there. All right, man. It is 2 on the dot. Great trades today, Joey. All right, Katina Man, the Neil, they are coming up next. We probably have some more variables coming in because it looks like there's more comments coming out of the White House. We'll see exactly what happens. Got everybody on the ones and twos. Joey and I will see you guys tomorrow.